cricket first, and Australia has lost its final warm-up match as it prepares for the T20 World Cup. The Aussies made 5 for 152 from their 20 overs. Steve Smith top scoring with 57, but it wasn't enough as India chased it down with 8 wickets in hand and 13 balls to spare. The Aussies' first match of the tournament begins on Saturday. Meantime, there were 2 other matches overnight. Sri Lanka smashing Ireland by 70 runs, while Namibia beat the Netherlands by 6 wickets. Let's go to football, and Crows forward Ned McHenry says he's delighted he's able to extend his career with the club after signing a contract extension that will keep him at West Lakes until at least the end of 2024.
It was pretty exciting. I was really honoured and worked through it, and obviously the club came to me with an opportunity to re-sign, and it was a no-brainer really in terms of footy with the Adelaide Footy Club and then life in Adelaide. I just really enjoy both of them, so I was very grateful.
Plenty of European Champions League action on this morning with Manchester United trailing Atalanta 2-0. That's about half hour into their clash. Chelsea having a much better time of it, currently leading Malmo 2-0. And in the NBA, the season's underway with the Golden State Warriors beating the LA Lakers by 7 points, while defending champions Milwaukee took care of the Brooklyn Nets by 23 points. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
The all-new Audi Q5 Sportback has arrived. Test drive it today at Audi Solitaire in Hawthorn.
Heading for a top of 22 today and mostly sunny. A possible shower tomorrow, 21. Saturday, a possible shower, 19. Right now, it's 15 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Sadie, the cleaning lady.
Need more living space or storage? Visit olympicindustries.com.au. Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Thursday morning on 5AA Breakfast. Coming up on the show today, we're off to the US in the first hour. We'll keep it local thereafter. We're going to flash back with Michael Smith from 7 News. Matt Abraham will be on the program to talk politics and political spin over the last 7 days. I think it's an even money guess as to whether he's going to go state or federal this time round, because there's been a bit on the federal side of things, albeit he likes to talk state politics, Matt, but we'll find out later in the morning. Jane Riley's going to be on the show. The Variety Bash is kicking off, and Jane's a fixture on that, so we'll chat with her about that a little later in the morning. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. Good to see Will's got the Indiana Pacers T-shirt on. That's one way to make sure we don't have fashion faux pas.
Yes.
Where, if you wear your
team gear,
or your team gear, you don't have any New Orleans Saints T-shirts.
I don't.
I don't have any Indiana Pacers stuff.
Well, then we've got no problem whatsoever.
Have you got a Hoodoo Gurus Stone Age Romeos T-shirt?
I do not. That might surprise you.
No, I got one of them. I've worn it before. People on the live stream might have spotted it. But rollicking show. Looking forward to talking to Matt. It's been a target-rich environment for him in state politics. The big story today. I think the big story. We'll get into this later on. Dud teachers facing the sack. Wonder what our good friends at the AEU will make of that.
Well, I can tell you what they'll think of it. They don't like it because it was Isabel Redmond's policy going back about 8 years ago.
Yeah, that was when you were working for her, wasn't it?
I was there. It was
so what you're saying, Will, is that Peter Malinauskas has stolen your idea.
I think it's clearly a good idea, and it's good to have him on board.
Imitation's the ultimate form of flattery.
I'm amazed that, I went reading it this morning. I thought, hang on, who's advocating for this? Labor Party. I'm sure it was a bad idea going back 5 or 6 years. Because it's had a couple of iterations.
Yeah.
It's been tried on a number of times, this idea. I think it makes perfect sense. Surely you want the person in the highest management position at the coalface making the big decisions about teaching and whatnot.
Yeah, well, you'd think so.
Like
that's how other organisations run.
Well, the idea that you've got, your Year 3 teacher sucks, is always having sick days, isn't putting together appropriate work for the kids, has lost interest and checked out of their career, but you've got to sort of, phone back to head office to say, do you reckon you might have a look at this person?
Yeah.
It's ludicrous.
Yeah.
Because the only people that suffer are the kids. I think it's a terrific policy.
Yeah, 100%.
Do it tomorrow.
Have you seen the moon this morning?
I have not.
It is unbelievable, folks. Do
Full
yourself
moon?
a favour. Yeah, absolutely perfect white circle off to the western side of town. But I was just stunned and amazed. I was actually cutting it fine, making it in this morning. I had a bit of a alarm clock related problem, but I still managed to stop for a full 5 seconds in the backyard, even though I even though every second counted.
Yes, it did. But you made it. No, you were here. To be fair,
I was here before the show started.
You timed it perfectly.
You couldn't time it much more perfectly than that.
But perfect is perfect.
I think Tom had just got down to the detritus of sport. We're getting the latest scores from the darts in Gibraltar.
Yes. Yeah, you know you're cutting it fine when you get to the Gibraltar darts scores.
October 21 is a tough date for sports journos in Australia, isn't it?
Yeah, you're sort of in between, aren't you? Footy, cricket. You got to hope. The best case scenario is one of your cricket sides goes and stays out light and makes a goose of themselves, I think.
What about the Redbacks? Who said they weren't newsworthy? It's only taken them about 5 years to make the front page. Pity it didn't involve winning anything.
It's never been a worse look to be a nuisance at a pub.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Right now, yeah, totally.
There are people have gotten up to all sorts of shenanigans but misbehaved and done stupid things in bars before. That's not new. But right now, with the restrictions and given the sensitivity, look, like it's an existential crisis for a pub. You got to obey the rules or they can't open.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing too, there's a lot of pubs who are opening right now purely to break even, purely to pay their staff.
Yeah. Yes, it's a good point.
I know talking to Damo at the Metro, great pub on Great Street, does a lot of work for live bands. It does an excellent counter meal as well. I always have a good curry of the night, nice palmy. We go there a lot. Well, not as much as I'd like to in the past 2 years, actually. But I can remember when the pubs reopened this year, he said, mate, this actually sucks because, like, people I'm spending the entire night counting heads and this was pre-masks, but it was when the restrictions were still really tight. He said, I spent the entire night counting people because I'm paranoid about getting done and I'm not making a cent. Yeah, he said it was actually in a way less stressful being closed.
Imagine turning up to do your job knowing there's nothing in this for me, but I'm going to go through the process of working a full shift and doing all those kinds of things. Yeah.
It's better than it was now, obviously. But,
sure.
But still, the added bonus of having, an entire cricket team. Well, not an entire cricket team. Close to.
They were almost all there.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Alex Carey wasn't. 11 after 6. One of our favourite, with an asterisk, subjects at the moment is the Southeastern Freeway, and it's in the news again this morning. Last night, the freeway was closed to all outbound traffic before Callington due to a truck fire. Intriguingly, in the last 50 minutes, the Transport and Infrastructure Department have said one outbound lane of the freeway has been reopened. This happened at 8:30 last night. Must have been one hell of a fire or one massive truck.
Apparently, one of the fireys got injured.
Right. Obviously, it's a huge incident for it still to be just one lane.
We'll get more detail on that later because apparently, whatever was in the truck went up like a Catherine wheel. So I don't know what it was carrying, but apparently it was really quite a ferocious fire.
Well, that explains a little bit more why.
Who knows? I mean, I'm speculating. It could have been fertiliser.
Sure.
Who knows? Yeah. Who knows? But
the other thing, thanks to Robert for tweeting us this morning, he says the traffic lights are out at Glen Osmond and Fullerton. There was a host of power outages early this morning. They've all been restored slightly ahead of time. The SA Power Networks had said about 6:15 if you're in one of the affected areas. Well, it's all back on as I've just looked at SA Power Networks. It looks like a clean bill of health for power this morning. So interested in what the state of that Glen Osmond and Fullerton Road traffic light intersection is. If you've been through it and it still is out, do let us know. 8223 0000 as always. And on any subject, give us a text. Telstra Storm Out Barker text line 044808 1395.
If you're looking for a new local, the kind where you can get all your shopping done, where you don't have to spend all your time looking for a park, the kind where you can pick up presents, do the weekly shop, and stock up on seafood and small goods, look to Newton Central. With a newly renovated Drake's, Barossa Fine Foods, Seafood Works, Target, and many more shops, Newton Central is set to become your new local. Newton Central, Gorge Road, Newton.
When I retire, how much is the pension? How much more will I need? The only figure that you should remember is 5. 5 years. That's how long it will take to prepare for the retirement you want with MBA Financial Strategists. Our Retire in 5 plan will project where you'll be in 5 years and beyond. You might find that the wealth you need, you already have. Don't put it off. Start with a free consultation with MBA Financial Strategists. Retireinfive.com.au. See website for T's and C's.
You've heard by now that Glenelg BMW is open on Brighton Road. You probably have even driven past it So be sure to drop in and speak to the experienced and award-winning team to book a test drive across the range of new and demonstrator BMWs. There are plenty of cars in stock, including over 80 pre-owned vehicles on site. And the news is even better if you already own a BMW, because the Glenelg BMW Service Centre can look after you with next-day service availability. That's it. You call today, you're booked in tomorrow. There's no waiting 2, 3, 4 weeks. A complimentary loan vehicle will be yours, or a vehicle pick up and drop off within 10 Ks of the dealership. How good's that? You don't even have to turn up. And if you have an existing BMW service inclusive package, you can now book your next service at Glenelg BMW. So what are you waiting for? Visit glenelgbmw.com.au or drop in and see the team at 141 Brighton Road today.
The time is now. An opportunity to tell a new and unique story. 88 O'Connell, a connected community with swimming pools, gym, indoor and outdoor dining, fresh food marketplace and high-end retail shopping. 2, 3 or 4 bedroom apartments with unparalleled views to the city, hills, coast and beyond. The long-awaited display suite is now open, showcasing the incredible lifestyle on offer at 88 O'Connell. More than an address. 88 O'Connell, North Adelaide.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Need a shed strong enough to resist the harsh Australian climates? Visit Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
15 after 6. Get into the news headlines in a moment. Craig in Salisbury East has called in. Morning to you, Craig.
Morning, boys. How are we?
Good,
Good,
mate.
thanks, Craig.
That's good. Just so you know, I'm wearing red and black so we don't clash.
Good on you, Craig.
Excellent.
We need to plan in advance these days, don't we?
Okay, cool. No worries. Just thought to let you know there's a diesel spill going up Portrush Road around Kenzie Park, Kensington Roadway. They had one lane closed as I came through at 5:30. So
What's the source of the spill, Craig?
From what I heard, a truck was going up Portrush Road. A man cover came loose and belted his diesel tank.
Oh,
Really?
that's no good.
Might be a bit messy for a couple of hours there while they clean it up.
Craig, thank you for that, mate. We'll check on that. That's good information. Appreciate it. 8223 0000. You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. Get into the news headlines and start out west, where West Australian police have questioned sex offenders in the state's far north as the search continues for a missing 4-year-old girl. There's still no sign of Cleo Smith, disappeared while camping on Saturday morning. It's thought now she was abducted from a tent. Inspector John Mundy says it's possible those responsible could have escaped before officers arrived at the scene.
That is certainly possible, that people could have left the campsite prior to roadblocks being put in place. There's obviously always going to be a time delay between police getting notified, dispatch to here, this remote area, ascertaining what has actually happened and making decisions to do things.
That line yesterday morning that we were talking about that was being reported as speculation about tyres being heard screeching at the same time that she disappeared, police admitted yesterday, or confirmed yesterday rather, that was a valid line of inquiry.
But I think one of the fundamental issues is apparently she couldn't have reached the zipper to undo the tent.
Yeah, so
They've
it's
now
impossible to get out.
So it would have been impossible for her to get out of the tent. So. There's been a breakthrough in the search for missing US man Brian Laundrie. Items believed to belong to the Florida fugitive have been found in a wilderness park. A lawyer for the Laundrie family says his parents took part in the search along with the FBI. He's been missing for more than a month, wanted over the murder of his travel blogger partner, Gabby Petito. We'll have more on that just before 7 o'clock when we cross to the US. The Queen has cancelled a planned trip to Northern Ireland on medical advice. Doctors have told the 95-year-old monarch to rest for the next few days. She sent out a typically Queenish statement on the issue of the medical advice, where she basically said, she was reluctantly adhering to the medical advice.
Yeah,
it was. Now an official spokesperson made sure this is not a coronavirus-related thing. She's just taken ill, but it was a very stiff upper lip Queen sort of response. Like, it's not her decision. She'd still be going if it was up to her.
The only person really who gets to tell the Queen what to do would probably be a doctor.
I think that's really the only person.
And even that would be a stretch for him or her if she's a female doctor. But she's looking pretty good for her age, the Queen. Picture of her on page 9 of today's Tizer. She's got a walking stick now. I reckon I'll probably have some sort of walking aid in the utterly miraculous scenario that I lived that long.
You might have a walking aid by the end of the year, the way you're going. Just slow it up. I hate to say
No,
it.
actually, I feel good. I feel good.
You've come good?
Like James Brown once said, I said to Kate last night, I got up off the couch. We were watching the Monica Lewinsky show, and I got up off the couch and I went, I feel good for the first time since the gardening marathon.
Oh, that's good.
So
I'm glad to hear
I've come through it.
For the last few days, you've been like the Tin Man needing an oil.
Every time I've got up, I've moaned, haven't I?
Oh, it's been hard to watch.
Yeah.
I actually thought we might have to put you down at one point in time.
Yeah.
Because it would have been the humane thing to do.
I did see you going through your Teledex looking for Dr. Derek McNair's number.
Derek, how do we do this?
Does that work for humans, that stuff?
How do we do this humanely?
It's legal now, isn't it? Teledex. Where'd that word come from?
Yeah, you've really gone back.
The Teledex. Did you have a Teledex at your house as a kid growing up?
No, we didn't, but I always loved them when they were in offices and things. They're always good to play with, you know.
I can remember, and it
Push the
made
button
this very satisfying noise,
Yeah.
the Teledex. Had this little alphabetical slide on the front, and you'd go down, there you go to the Evans family of Marion, Dave's mum and dad, Julie and Bruce. Might want to give them a ring. It's funny how numbers stay with you. So 762408.
Are they still there?
That was my grandma's number in Waterman
Really?
Terrace. 762408.
Oh, that's
6
good.
digits.
I can always remember my tax file number. Don't know why.
Oh, well, why don't you share it with us, mate?
I won't be doing
Get
that.
it out there. What about your credit card?
Hey, I wasn't born yesterday, David.
That's right. Because you might have won a lottery in Nigeria.
Oh,
mate.
if that's the case.
All I need is your tax file number and your credit card.
The federal government is being asked to crack down on alcohol marketing. The Cancer Council is concerned about the rise of companies extending their brands to non-alcoholic products such as rum-branded iced coffee. Spokeswoman Julia Stafford says it's exposing children to the products too early.
We need to move from an industry code where the alcohol industry has designed its own rules about its marketing to a system where the Australian government has developed independent controls that cover all forms of alcohol marketing.
What is rum-flavoured iced coffee an entry-level drug now, is it? What about Christmas trifle? Should we ban that tea?
Have I been living under a rock? There's rum-flavoured iced coffee, is there?
Not in South Australia. It sounds like Eastern States rubbish. It'd be some sort of Bundy promotion, wouldn't it?
I've never heard of it.
Well, Farmers Union, I don't think, do it. But more importantly, the excellent local milk producers, Fluorio Milk, not owned by some major multinational conglomerate doing God's work down there in Mount Compass, they don't do a rum-flavoured iced coffee.
I wouldn't have thought.
They just do a great straight iced coffee and a double-shot iced coffee. That's wowserism, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think...
What about the Christmas pud? That's got brandy in it. And what about the spectacle of lighting the brandy in front of the children?
I know, outrageous.
That shows you can do all sorts of very entertaining things.
Isn't the
with
reality
alcohol.
with all this stuff that the number one driver for your behaviour is what you see your parents and family members and others do?
I certainly hope not.
Okay.
Where do the kids get these darned ideas
Let's
from?
leave that alone.
Imagine my surprise when I found my 6-year-old wearing a lampshade on his head after stirred and won a football game.
Late to kindy again. Victoria has one more day in lockdown before Melbourne and regional parts of the state open. Hospitality workers will be allowed to leave after curfew starts to get their businesses ready. The state is soon expected to hit its 70% double dose mark. So some good news for the people of Victoria now, not too far away. Let's have a look at the weather for this Thursday. It's 14.8 degrees outside at the moment. Top today will be 22, but the winds will be a bit lighter than they were yesterday. Tomorrow, a possible shower and 21. Same for Saturday, possible shower and 19. And then we're on the path to rule some nice stuff. Sunday, 20. Monday, 22. Tuesday will be 30. And Wednesday, 33, albeit there will be a thunderstorm potentially later in the day and up to 3 mils of rain. 23 minutes after 6. We'll talk sport with Tom Wren in just a moment.
Sportsmed Foot and Ankle Clinic is growing with orthopaedic surgeon Dr. Tom Fisher joining our Stepney Healthcare Hub. Here's Dr. Claire Bolton.
Sportsmed isn't like other clinics. We have our own hospital with specialists, doctors, physios and podiatrists together in one state-of-the-art location. This makes life easier for our patients because their appointments can happen in one place. It also lets us diagnose issues quickly, leading to high-quality, cost-effective care.
All your treatments, all your care, one place. SportsMed. Visit sportsmed.com.au.
Let's talk about extra time. Extra time because I don't have to maintain a garden. Extra time because I don't have costly home repairs. Every ECH Encore apartment at Modbury comes with time. Time to enjoy retirement. Time to enjoy the on-site cafe, gym and community garden. So spend time in our new on-site display suite. Book an appointment today. Time for an encore. Time to live more life. Visit echencore.com.au.
Did you know that Regrow Australian-made products are now proudly stocked in all Foodland stores?
Regrow's three-step treatment program helps rejuvenate, revitalise and regrow hair.
Now, if you search Regrow Hair Clinics on Facebook, you'll see their happy customers absolutely raving about it, saying things like, "My hair has never felt and looked so good," and the results speak for themselves.
I love it when people say that.
Yeah,
Regrow's products can assist in the treatment of hair loss, dermatitis and dandruff using 13 active natural ingredients, and these natural ingredients are high in purity, including saw palmetto and caffeine for DHT blocking, and biotin and niacin as protein rebuilders.
This is all good, clean, natural stuff. And look, all Regrow products are also vegan, they're cruelty-free, and they're made with, how does this sound, oxygenated rainwater from the Gold Coast hinterland. So drop into your local Foodland and start your journey to strong, healthy hair before summer.
Drive your business further with a Renault Traffic van, like Daniel from Team Tank Logistics.
We rely on Renault Traffic to deliver freight safely. They're really fuel efficient and we get plenty of Ks out of a tank.
Renault Traffic from $39,990, drive away.
It's my business, it's my van.
Shop barbecues now at Harvey Norman. Trolley barbecues from $349. Smokers for slow cooking. Charcoal grills, plus outdoor modular kitchens to fully customisable solutions. Beefeater, Everdure, Gasmate, Massport. Plus 60 months interest free. No deposit, no interest with 60 equal monthly payments on participating Latitude credit cards and receive a bonus gift card up to $500. New customers must apply in store or online and be approved for a Latitude Go MasterCard. Minimum finance $1,000. Interest applies if you do not comply with T's and C's. Fees, exclusions apply. Now at Harvey Norman.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Need more living space or storage? Visit olympicindustries.com.au. Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
There's nothing left, all gone and run.
26 after 6. Luke texted us on the Telstra Stormont Barker text line. Shares your sentiments, David, that it is an exceptional full moon out there this morning, albeit it's gotten so light in the last, since he sent the text, that you're not going to see much more of it now, I suspect. And
Thanks, Luke.
Our Alberton correspondent, Dave Lloyd, makes the point that Aussie Band Shirt Day is Friday the 19th of November. Pete says, Pembo, get the gurus out.
I'll wear it in especially. Dave, thanks for reminding me. I didn't know it was then. Didn't know it was the thing. Aussie Band T-shirt.
I wasn't aware of that. Let's talk sport.
Will he be able to wear his Kylie Minogue singlet in?
Now, you know, I only wear that on special occasions.
What made that sledge good was it wasn't a T-shirt, it was a singlet.
Yeah, that was it. Subtle. 3 words make a big difference to our local dairy farmers. Fleurier Milk Company in your supermarket now. Good morning, Tom Wren.
Morning, Will. Morning, David. Boys, you're a pretty good litmus test, I reckon, as to the care factor with regards to certain sports. So I want to push you on the cricket. The Aussies T20 side, they pretty much stink at the moment. They are about to start their T20 World Cup campaign. They lost again overnight. The team balance for me is all wrong. Do we really care if you could win the T20 World Cup or win even just the first test in the Ashes series? What would you take?
Oh,
just the first test?
First test all day. And I'll tell you my interest in the T20 World Cup.
0.0.
All right, so there it is.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. Well,
it's a city-state based thing. T20. It doesn't work at the national level, I don't think.
That is a really good point. I've had a few chats with some people that are fairly high up in the cricket world, and we came to the same conclusion that love the Adelaide Strikers and love the state-by-state thing, but for whatever reason at the international level, I'm just not as invested.
Well, the T20 gave cricket an opportunity to get some of the goodness that other sports have that are club-based sports, whereby you have player movement. You can see different combinations of people working together, and it gave you something to get behind, have a digestible season that was on at a time where people could get along. It allowed you to treat cricket like any other sport, because cricket's a little bit different for its length and other things. But once you take that away, it's just a bad version of the other forms of cricket.
Yeah, totally.
Well, the Aussies for those waking up anyway, overnight have gone down by 8 wickets to India in their final warm-up match. Doesn't mean anything,
See,
but
the problem with it is it's just innately silly, T20 cricket. And you're prepared to cop the silliness when it's a 35-degree day and you're sitting there and the sun's going down like towards the western suburbs at the Adelaide Oval, nice, pink sunset lighting up the Moreton Bays, etc. And, you know it's a bit of slap and giggle. But to elevate it to the status of some international level contest, it's like, nah, sorry. It doesn't deserve that.
No.
It's something you watch with your kids. Or with a couple of mates having a couple of frothies.
Do you reckon, Rennie? So we've lost this warm-up match.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where we rank in the world for T20.
We're low. We're about 7th.
Yeah. I wondered if it permeates to the culture and the consciousness of the national team. If the whole country kind of thinks it's a bit of a joke, it's got to be hard to take it seriously. Because the reverse of that is everyone will be going hammer and tong for the Ashes, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Because it matters.
Yeah, totally.
That's why it's why you play the game.
It's a really good point.
Well, you can remember where you were for Ashes innings.
Yes, yep, or famous Test matches,
When
etc.
when McDermott got not caught behind, I can remember exactly what I was doing that day. I was in my first year as a cadet at the Adelaide Advertiser, and a whole bunch of us filed like mad.
Was that against the Windies?
Yeah, against the Windies,
Yeah,
and we all
I was there.
We all walked down
Yep.
to see the end of it.
It was an amazing match.
We all left work early.
I
you don't
heard
do that for T20.
Yeah, fair point. I heard you as well say this morning, not a lot of sport on locally, which is fair enough, but then you compare it as a sports journal at the moment, and Will, I know you're the same. American sport at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
It's the peak.
It's the peak.
Yeah.
All 4 sports are on. You get this crazy little 3-week window. NBA season started yesterday. Major League Baseball playoffs are on. They're the best time to be watching. NFL, which is, I think, now the number 1 sport, is, on too.
Yep.
And I'm missing one other one. NHL, maybe? That hasn't started.
Hockey.
But, the big 4 are on at the moment, so it's a huge time in the US at the moment, so super exciting.
Absolutely. Good on you, Rennie.
Good on you,
Cheers,
boys.
Tom. Who loves South Australia as much as you do? Fleurier Milk Company, South Australian and proud of it.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny 22 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience, with 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
There have been multiple explosions at the site of a truck fire on the freeway. The B-double went up in flames at Callington around 7:45 last night. The rig was gutted in the blaze. Belinda Dunbar from the CFS says one person was hurt fighting the fire.
During the firefighting operations, a CFS officer was injured and transported to hospital.
Forensic experts will head to the state's southeast today. Bones have been found in sand dunes south of Robe. An Adelaide Identity is petitioning to get vaccinated South Aussies back home. Former TV personality Lee McCluskey has been stranded in regional Victoria for more than a month. Reports suggest SA Health is taking 6 to 8 weeks to process exemptions. McCluskey says it's ridiculous.
Huge regard for Stephen Marshall, but he's lost me on this one because logically I can't see any sensible reason why they're handling it in this way. And I think it's cruel and I think it really lacks the compassion. And I always thought that South Australia was a fairly compassionate community. You know, we are a smaller community.
So far, the petition has attracted more than 550 supporters. Well, Melbourne is counting down with their citywide lockdown coming to an end just before midnight tonight. Nine's Christina Hearn has more.
Pubs, cafes and restaurants will reopen to the fully vaccinated. The curfew and travel limit will go. To ensure venues are checking patrons' vaccination status, the Herald Sun reports there'll be a COVID squad of 100 inspectors hitting venues across the city, dishing out fines of more than $100,000 to those that break the rules. Last night, the Prime Minister confirmed Victoria had reached the all-important 70% double-dosed milestone. To help celebrate, Carlton and United Breweries have produced an extra 50,000 kegs of beer for pubs. That's around 9 million pots, which should just be enough.
GPs are pushing for more funding, saying they'll have to manage the bulk of COVID patients heading forward. The Royal Australian College of General Practitioners says vaccines will lead to milder cases of the virus, which will see more people head to their local doctor. GP support comes from the federal government. Britain's health minister is warning COVID-19 cases could hit 100,000 a day in the UK this winter. The country has recorded more than 40,000 new infections for the 8th day in a row. Sajid Javid says the community can't rest on its laurels.
This pandemic is not over. So we must all remember that this virus will be with us for the long term and that it remains a threat.
Despite the surge, there's no sign further restrictions will be reintroduced in England. Australians are expected to spend big this Christmas. Research from the Australian Retailers Association suggests almost $59 billion will be spent on presents, food and hospitality. That's more than 11% higher than before the pandemic. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
3 words make a big difference to our local dairy farmers. Flurio Milk Company. In your supermarket now.
What's happening in the cricket, Tom Wren?
Well, Mel, Steve Smith has provided a glimpse of positivity in an otherwise lacklustre loss to India in the final warm-up match for the T20 World Cup. The Aussies went down by 8 wickets to the tournament favourites. Openers Dave Warner and Aaron Finch made just 1 and 8 respectively. Number 3, Mitch Marsh, went for a first ball duck. Meantime, fast bowler James Pattinson has announced his retirement from Test cricket less than 2 months before the first match of the Ashes series. Let's go to soccer. Newcastle United coach Steve Bruce has left the EPL club. That's just 2 weeks after the Saudi Arabia-backed takeover. Meantime, there's plenty of European Champions League action on this morning with the second half about to begin. Manchester United is currently 2-0 down against Atalanta, while Chelsea is 2-0 up against Malmo. Let's go to baseball, and the LA Dodgers have breathed life into their National League Championship Series against the Atlanta Braves after coming from behind to win 6-5. The Dodgers were down 5-2 at the bottom of the 8th inning, but scored 4 runs, highlighted by a 3-run homer by Cody Bellinger.
And he sends one high and deep, way back right center field. We are tied. Cody Bellinger strikes again.
It was a magnificent hit, that audio thanks to Fox. Now, the Braves still lead that best-of-7 series 2-1, while Houston smashed Boston 9-2 in that series, which is now all square at 2 games apiece. And mixed results for the Aussies at the Kremlin Cup in tennis in Moscow this morning. John Millman fighting his way into the quarterfinals with a hard-fought 3-set win, but Ayla Tomljanovic went down in 3 sets to number 1 seed Arina Sabalenka. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
The all-new Audi Q5 Sportback has arrived. Test drive it today at Audi Solitaire in Hawthorn.
Mostly sunny today, a top of 22. Possible shower tomorrow, 21. Saturday, a possible shower, 19. Right now, it's 15 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Need a shed strong enough to resist the harsh Australian climate? Visit Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
24-7. The number to get on, 8223 0000. You can interact with us by texting in on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line, 0448 08 1395. A few people asked the question about what the hell the loud sound in Christie's Beach was last night, or this morning. About 1 a.m, people got woken up by this. Sounds like an alien invasion.
I was just going to say, having watched episode 3 of Squid Game last night, that's not a sound I want to hear anytime soon.
Look, yeah, it doesn't sound like it's going to be good news. Thankfully, no one was abducted or forced to play a game for money. It was a...
Which island would they take you to if they took you from near the Colonnades Tavern? Maybe Gull Rock. Not enough room.
No, it wouldn't be. It'd be the remote part of KI, I suspect.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a fire alarm going off at the Christie's Beach wastewater treatment plant.
Oh, okay. I know the place.
So, but that's one hell of a fire alarm.
I grew up not far from there.
The entire suburb was aware that the fire alarm went off there.
Gee,
so
that's deeply annoying.
Just at 1 o'clock this morning, that one went off.
Was it? And I'm sure, of course, it was a false alarm.
Yeah.
Because we're not here doing a story about the towering inferno at Christie's, are we?
Exactly right. Speaking of regional places, the Tumby Bay Jetty is the subject of a call from the local council to get upgraded by the state government. They want a $2.5 million state government contribution to fund what would ultimately be a $3.5 million upgrade, because right now the fear is that it's not structurally sound to accept the big cruise liners that go there.
Mm.
And if I mean, that's obviously a big part of the economy and whatnot. And in the absence of that, they've been some real strife. So they're calling on it. It is picturesque. Looking at some of the pictures of the jetty itself obviously does need some work. Just having a look at it, but it's a spectacular setting.
Looks like the old Glenelg jetty. What about the pontoons as well
does,
on the side?
Which inspires our question for the Cheese Fest tickets this morning. Cheese Fest is on this weekend. What's the best jetty in South Australia?
That's a
metro or regional.
That's a good question.
Can be any. 8223 or text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. You can usually get tickets from cheesefest.com.au or let us know right now. What's the best jetty in South Australia?
Just thinking. I won't guess because I don't know where to start.
Well, look, let's try and make it a little less scientific. What's your favourite jetty in South Australia?
Yeah.
So there's no right answer here.
Tell us why.
I'm not going to go. You've said it's Tumby Bay, and I'll hit the. I don't even have the loser button. No, we're not going to do any of that kind of stuff.
There's no wrong answer.
There's no wrong answer.
We want impassioned advocacy.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Maybe an anecdote.
Yeah.
Always up for an anecdote, as long as it's not too long.
You had a story. Was at the Semaphore jetty 2 weeks ago, and there was a problematic seal that was driving all the fishermen there nuts.
Seriously?
Yeah.
What, in the water?
In the water, yeah. It was
really.
It was that all the people were crabbing, and it was just going off and picking up all the bait.
We were at the American River jetty on KI, and my son Charlie, so excited, he turned around and he goes, "Dad, look!" And just on the edge of the car park, giant seal just lying on a railway sleeper, just having the time of its life. And we'd bought some fish to attempt to catch some fish. We bought some pilchards, and after about my usual fishing attempt, happens about once every 2 years.
Mm.
After 7 minutes, I said to the kids, "This is pointless." There's a shop over the road that sells fish, so we went and fed the pilchards to the seal, and it was eating them.
I don't know why, but I saw your dad in you there at the opening of Star Wars, having a similar. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know why. I just saw it all became clear to me all of a sudden.
The exact same form of words. This is pointless.
Mark in Granger's called in. Morning to you, Mark.
G'day, fellas. My favourite jetty is the Ardrossan jetty because we got a little caravan down in the Ardrossan caravan park. Beautiful to get there. It's got no fences. You can sit on the jetty and fish. The best at the present moment is the blue crabs. They're sort of in. And then there's one more thing. You can go for a nice walk. It's on the side of the jetty. There's a nice walk from going to the southern side. And basically, it's a great jetty to go to. And there's one great, in the Jacobs guy I saw him one time fishing. I said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "I'm fishing." I said, "Obviously." Yeah.
Good on you, Mark.
Excellent,
You've got some texts coming through on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. The Beachport jetty is great. Got to be the longest one in the state, says one of our texters. Another Bernie says, I know he's talking about the protest. 8223 best jetty in South Australia could win you Cheese Fest tickets. What's the one there's the one that runs in the wrong direction? Basically, every jetty in South Australia runs the same way.
Yeah.
But there's one over on the peninsula that goes
east-west, you mean?
Yeah, that's right. That goes the other way.
Goes north-south. No, I don't know.
I can't think. The name. One of our listeners will know. They'll text in.
Bit of love for Point Turt and also Port Broughton's jetty. One here too. The smallest and the best is Horseshoe Bay, Port Elliot. That's very picturesque. It is very small though. Not much room for fishing. And another one here, Mike in Norwood on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line says, Port Germain jetty. Only just discovered this one recently. It's the second longest jetty in the southern hemisphere.
Wow.
But it needs some investment to fix up the end.
Thank you, Mike. We'll award the Cheese Fest tickets shortly, so still time to call in 8223 0000.
I'll vote for Rapid Bay.
Okay.
I love that jetty.
Yep. Yeah.
It's wild.
Good. That's nice. Let's check traffic thanks to Glenelg BMW. If you've got an existing BMW service inclusive package, you can book your next service at Glenelg BMW.
Good morning. At Kensington, got an oil spill, Portrush Road near Kensington Road. Left-hand lane closed for southbound. Callington, left-hand lane also closed for outbound on the freeway due to an earlier fire. Crayford's got speed restrictions on the freeway both directions for works, and a right-hand lane closed for outbound through the tunnels. Got cameras this morning, Coventry Road, Monopara, Golf Parade, Maslin Beach and Phillip Highway, Elizabeth South. The King Spring Sale is in its final days. Save up to 50% on Australian indoor and outdoor furniture design. Visit the King Keswick showroom or shop online, kingliving.com today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic. on 5AA.
Ian's called in on his mobile. Morning to you, Ian.
Good morning. Moonta Bay jetty.
Moonta Bay.
It's got an angle to it, and you can walk halfway out when the tide's out, then go up one of the ladders.
Oh, wow. Oh, that sounds magnificent. Moonta Bay. Ian, you know what? You got the Cheese Fest tickets coming your way, Ian.
Yes, give it away.
Cheese Fest is on this weekend through till Sunday. Tickets from cheesefest.com.au on there in Rymel Park. Always a great way to spend a bit of time on the weekend. Streaky Bay faces north. Thank you, Shane. Texting in on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. We'll be back with police and weather in just a moment.
A day out at the movies just got better. Come to Wallace Cinema and see movies like they should be seen on the big screen. Hear movies like they should be heard in Quake sound and taste candy bar prices like you have never seen. With Choc Tops handmade with Golden North ice cream, Fruit Chocks, Fluorio milk and so much more. Wallace Family Values, bringing value to your family. Mitcham, Mount Barker, Noarlunga and Mainline Drive-In. Wallace.com.au.
My favourite thing to do at St Andrew's School is reading. I love coming to school and getting to try new things like viola. I love coming to St Andrew's School because I can make new friends.
My school is all these things and more. It's what makes it one of South Australia's leading primary schools. Hi, I'm Seraphina, school captain at St Andrews. Book your place on one of our school tours on Thursday 28th of October at 6 p.m. or Saturday 30th October at 10 a.m. Just Google St Andrew's School.
It's very busy at West this morning. The award-winning Master Plan community at West Lakes, they're hosting the start line of the 14th Variety Motor Run, which will depart at around 8 a.m.
Talking to Jane Riley about this later today. The Variety Moto Run is a wonderful collection of motorcycles and cars, some of which include luxury vehicles that take off on a 4-day quest around our state in the hopes of raising $250,000 for kids in need.
And look, it's fantastic that our good friends at Commercial and General, who are the developers at West, are behind this. They do a lot of great charity work. And in great news, just to hand, this morning, West developers, Commercial and General, they're presenting a 21-seat Sunshine coach to the Hendon Primary School. That is excellent. We used to play footy against Hendon. Always a great day going to the Hendon Primary School. They did a good footy barbecue too.
Really?
They had a sandwich called the Hendon Heartstopper.
Oh, that sounds
absolutely terrific. So back to the ad. West developers, C&G, Commercial and General. This bus, the coach, the 21-seat Sunshine coach, it's valued at $65,000, and it's going to be used to transport children living with a disability to a range of activities, including their weekly water safety program.
What a fantastic initiative. That's
good.
Terrific.
It's a really nice school, Hendon Primary. I love it.
Get to the West start line this morning before 8. Take a look at the amazing vehicles as they ready themselves for the 14th Variety Moto Run with ongoing support from the great team at Commercial and General.
Building amazing homes is important to Beechwood Homes, and so is the environment. So when you build with Beechwood, you're building a better environment for our kids and grandkids. Around 70% of scrap materials from every Beechwood home is recycled. Bricks, rubble, timber, gyprock and steel, none of it goes to landfill. It's all sorted and recycled. So life really is good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Take a look at the stunning Beechwood display home in Blackwood Park.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
We were singing
Need more living space or storage? Visit olympicindustries.com.au. Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
This'll be the day that I die.
13 to 7, let's check in with SAPOL. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan's on the line. Morning to you, Jen.
Morning.
Now, there's been a break-in at Hackney.
There has, and this was last night. So just before 11 p.m, residents of an Oxford Street home discovered a person inside their property. So the male suspect demanded the elderly occupant's wallet before punching him to the face and fled the scene with his wallet and a laptop. So the 77-year-old resident sustained minor injuries and he was taken to the Royal Adelaide for treatment. So Eastern District Patrols flooded the area and searched with the assistance of dog operations, but unfortunately they were unable to locate the suspect. So the suspect's described as being in his mid-40s, large build, 180 centimetres tall, and he's wearing dark clothing. So we ask anybody who saw any suspicious activity in the area last night to call Crime Stoppers on 1-800-333-000.
And Jen, in Hackham West, rather, there was a suspicious fire last night.
Yeah, and that was just before 10:40. Police and MFS were called to a home on Valley View Crescent after reports of a fire on a doorstep. So the occupant of the home extinguished the blaze, and the fire caused minor damage to the front door. And the occupant sustained minor injuries as a result of putting out the fire. He was treated at the scene. 2 men were actually seen running from the fire. So we're deeming that as suspicious, and again ask if anyone saw anything to call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
Thank you, Jen.
Good work, Jen.
Senior Constable Jen Cullinan from Sable. Vince Rowlands is the forecaster on duty at the Bureau this morning. Good morning to you, Vince.
Morning, guys.
So take us through Thursday and maybe over the weekend too.
Yeah, so not too bad a day today. We're looking at a little bit of cloud around this morning, and we're seeing a little bit of light shower activity just move across Spencer Gulf, but probably not going to see too much across Adelaide. So, yeah, not too bad. 22 degrees, the forecast. A little bit warmer in the northern suburbs. We've got Elizabeth, 23. And near the coast, we've got 21 degrees for Noongar. As we head into tomorrow, winds just going a little bit more southwesterly, more of a chance of a shower around tomorrow. It cools down a touch, down to 21 degrees, so there's likely that we'll see the odd shower around during the afternoon, but not expecting too much in it, generally less than a millimetre, and that risk of showers continues during Saturday, cools off even further with the winds going around to the south a little bit more and just picking up a bit, so we could see winds getting up to about 35 kilometres an hour during Saturday. Top of 19 degrees, again less than a millimetre with the shower activity, but then we start to see a warming trend as the winds go more easterly and then northeasterly. So we've got 20 degrees for Sunday, 22 for Monday, 30 for Tuesday, and then 33 on Wednesday ahead of another change coming through.
Good stuff, Vince. Thanks for that.
Vince Rowlands, the senior forecaster at the Weather Bureau. 10 to 7, we're going to be off to the US in just a moment. But I think we should get to some more of these jetty texts, because there's a whole stack of them coming on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line.
Yeah, there's heaps. Lisa and Tim in Moonta Bay say they thought it was Marion Jetty, which ran north-south. There's probably a few, actually, come to think of it. There's plenty of bits of coast that actually snake around the other way. Tim says, no, hey, why hasn't anybody mentioned the new Whyalla Jetty? Actually, a couple of people have. Apparently that's amazing. Here's one, Shane, speaking my language from my childhood, Port Noongar Jetty, extremely popular for jumping, diving, fishing, and of course it has the magnificent reef. That reef is stunning.
Yeah, it's
Have you snorkeled there?
No, I haven't.
I did it quite a bit as a teenager, but now I don't know what it is. The idea of jumping in there, paddling around with a snorkel, just feels a little bit sharky, that part of the coast.
See, now that you've said that, you've just guaranteed I will never snorkel there.
I remember swimming the full length of the jetty back with my cousin Mike when I was about 15. And we jumped in, holding our face masks and our snorkels. And we snorkeled for about half an hour. And then we swam back. And while I was swimming back, I was thinking, just, you get the idea in your head.
Yeah.
It's pretty deep.
I don't know. I don't. I've proven to be fish food once before, and
Well, that's right.
Anything bigger.
What was it? The Titan triggerfish.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, once bitten, as they say.
Exactly right. They got a taste for me now.
That
one's a man eater.
Word gets out.
Exactly right. 8 to 7. We're off to the US shortly.
Get more at Mawson Lakes Volkswagen with great deals on demos right across the range, all ready to drive away. And if you're impressed with our selection of cars, you'll love our service department with next day servicing, complimentary loan cars, and breakfast or lunch on us. Why? Because when you're Adelaide's newest Volkswagen dealer, you want to give more. Visit mawsonlakesvw.com.au to see the range online. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
Hello, Frank Walker from National Tiles. For professional tilers, National Tiles stocks the world's best brands of adhesives, grouts, silicons, tools, levelling and pedestal systems. Yes, the world's leading brands including Marpay, MaxiSeal, Sigma, Raimondi, Clippert and more. So if you're a professional tiler who demands the very best in adhesives, tools and other accessories, you must, absolutely must check out the amazing range at National Tiles now. National Tiles, #1 with all the very best professional tilers.
Adelaide property values are at an all-time high. They've grown by more than 17% over the past year with really strong buyer demand. In some areas, demand is greater than supply. Vendors are regularly getting multiple offers for homes with sold prices well above expectations.
Now, look, we know that our friends at Toop and Toot work across all suburbs, and we can tell you right now they're working in St Peters with 4,694 buyers, 4,562 in Glenunga and 4,351 in Clarence Park. And all of these people are searching for their perfect property in these specific locations.
If you're thinking of selling and would like to know how many buyers Toop and Toop are working with in your suburb, visit toop.com.au.
Hi, I'm Lawrence. I was angry when my mattress sagged. It was just a year old, and no one told me it was just a slab of foam inside. Then I got a Sleeping Duck. To see the Sleeping Duck and its Indestruct springs take on a 15-ton steam roller, check out mattresstesting.com.
Have you scraped or dented your caravan? Your insurance should cover that, and Walker Crash Repairs will fix it right and on time. Walker Crash Repairs, an RAA-approved crash repairer for caravans and cars.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Need a shed strong enough to resist the harsh Australian climate? Visit Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Six minutes to 7. Let's head to the US. David Woodward for 7 News is on the line. Morning to you, David.
Morning, guys. How you going?
Yeah, we're well. We had a little bit of this in our news headlines just a short time ago. Bring us up to speed with the case involving Brian Laundrie. And in fact, you know what we might get from you, David, if you could, a bit of background too for an Australian audience on this story and why this man is wanted by the FBI.
Right, well, so Brian Laundrie is the fiancé of the travel blogger Gabby Petito. So she was a girl who had been travelling around the United States in her van with her fiancé, Brian, and they'd been documenting a lot of their trip, putting it up on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, things like that. So they were quite well known. They had quite the following. And then a little while ago, late August or so, Gabby's family, they received a text message from her basically saying that they were in Yosemite, that there was no service there, and then after that, radio silence from Gabby Petito. Now, her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, he then returned back home in the van that the pair had been driving in to Florida, where his family were from, where both families were from, but he saw his parents there. And a few days later, Gabby's body actually turned up in a campsite states away in Wyoming. So that started off this murder investigation. Of course, Brian was someone that police wanted to speak to, so they went to go speak to him. They realised that he was back home in Florida. They've gone to speak to him in his parents' house, and he's gone missing. Now, since then, he's basically been on the run some 37 days or so now. So police haven't been able to find him. His parents have maintained that they don't know where he is either. So there have been a number of sightings from hikers and other people on trails right across the United States, but nothing has turned up Brian Laundrie. So it's really captured the attention of US media here, plenty of attention in Australia as well. A lot of these cyber sleuths have really weighed in on the case. So fast forward to today, and basically what has happened is police are now combing over a piece of parkland in Florida. Now, this is park that they have already searched a number of weeks ago. It's not far from Brian Laundrie's family's home. It was an area that he knows very well. Police have headed back in there today. They've brought in the cadaver dogs. These are dogs that are bred specifically to sniff out decomposing human remains. And in the last few hours or so, police have confirmed they have found human remains. Now, they are not saying whether or not it is Brian's remains. We are waiting to hear from the FBI any moment now, but this is a huge development in this case. The fact that something has been found there. We know the coroner is on scene. Brian's parents are also on scene. A number of articles belonging to him were also found. So it's all pointing that way, but we'll get more details when we hear from the FBI shortly.
Massive story. It's good that they've sounds like they've got him. But yeah, no, amazing stuff.
Thank you, Dave.
It's certainly looking that way, fellas. So, as I say, we should have more details in the next 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah, all right. We'll stay listening to 5AA News over the course of the morning for those developments. David Woywad reporting on a story that is... That story in the US right now is like the Cleo story in Australia.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those stories where everyone's sort of hanging on every update that comes from official sources.
Geez, I hope there's, by some miracle, that girl turns up.
Yeah.
And there's something innately sort of horrible and compelling about that story too, like the outback setting and everything else. Like it's, you know, just there's something sort of bleak's not the right word, but just well, it sort of is really the idea of losing your child in the outback.
You know, there's an element, and you, as a parent, you would, and I'm sure your parents have spoken about this before too, and our listeners would be familiar with the idea that there are certain activities and things that have lost innocence over the course of the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Walking home from school.
Yeah.
You know, but
totally.
Camping?
Yeah, I know.
I don't think
exactly.
camping is one of those that we've ever gone on. Well, you know, camping's a real risk when it comes to weirdos.
Well, that's why the Louise Bell story was so horrible. Like, I remember the defining thing about that as a kid was that, you know, she was taken through the fly-wire screen at that house down in the southern suburbs. Like, you think your kids are in bed, they're safe.
Yeah.
Your kids are in a tent, you're there with them.
Yeah, you hundreds of k's from anywhere.
You know, the other part of the story that troubles me is that when the police need to quiz, the headline in the Advertiser, page 4, perverts quizzed in search for Cleo. So the cops in WA, they get in touch with registered sex offenders in the Carnarvon area. Wouldn't it be nicer if the registered sex offenders were actually in prison?
Yeah.
As opposed to just walking around waiting to be quizzed about whether, you know, they'd been knocking around near the Carnarvon camping site or not.
We'll have more on that story after 7 o'clock for you. Also coming up after 7, we'll take you through the Queen and her little battle with illness at the moment. Her statement's worth hearing as well. And we'll talk to you about and play you a bit of the premiere, or not the premiere, the promo, the trailer for the I Love Lucy movie that's set to come out, starring Nicole Kidman. This is really interesting. We'll have it for you shortly.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny, 22 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations, physioextra.com.
There's been a home invasion at Hackney. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says an Oxford Street resident discovered a person inside his property just before 11 last night.
So the male suspect demanded the elderly occupant's wallet before punching him to the face and fled the scene with his wallet and a laptop. The 77-year-old resident sustained minor injuries and he was taken to the Royal Adelaide for treatment.
The hunt for the suspect continues. He's described as being in his mid-40s with a large build, 188 centimetres tall and wearing dark clothing. There was a major truck fire on the freeway last night. A B-double caught alight at Callington shortly before 8. Crews arrived to find the rig fully engulfed in flames. There were multiple explosions due to the contents on the trailers, which were both destroyed. A CFS officer was injured and taken to hospital. Investigations are continuing following the discovery of bones in the state's southeast. A member of the public found them in sand dunes south of Robe yesterday. Forensic investigators will attend the scene today. Well, Melbourne is heading into its final day in lockdown with stay-at-home orders to lift tonight. Prime Minister Scott Morrison says they've reached the vaccination target needed.
Well, I can officially confirm, just got the figures. Victoria has reached 70.51% vaccination rate, double dose, right across the state. They can now move into Phase B. They can start taking the steps, as you say, at 11:59 tonight. The longest road has been journeyed in Victoria.
That audio courtesy of 7. The ICAC will examine how a controversial project at the centre of the Gladys Berejiklian investigation was approved when even the former New South Wales Premier Mike Baird was initially opposed. Nine's Clinton Maynard says the hearing will resume this morning.
Mike Baird was initially against the approval of $5.5 million for a shooting facility in Wagga Wagga, but along with the rest of the Expenditure Review Committee, he gave it approval subject to a proper business case being conducted. How the project, though, was given final approval is cloudy. Mr Baird says local MP Darren Maguire Maguire was relentless, while the then Treasurer Gladys Berejiklian should have declared her relationship. Mr Baird says he didn't witness any bias, but the project was moved from the Office of Sport to Regional New South Wales, and today another senior bureaucrat will be quizzed about why that came about.
The Queen has cancelled a planned trip to Northern Ireland on medical advice. More from Nine's UK correspondent, Carrie-Anne Greenbank.
Queen Elizabeth is resting at Windsor Castle after advice from doctors to cancel a planned trip to Northern Ireland. A Buckingham Palace statement reading, "The Queen has reluctantly accepted medical advice to rest for the next few days." There has been some speculation about the 95-year-old's health after she used a walking stick at a recent event at Westminster Abbey. It's understood the decision to rest isn't related to COVID-19. In London, Carrie-Anne Greenbank, 9 News.
And speculation is mounting about a name change at Facebook, which has prompted an outpouring of suggestions online. But the social network will keep the Facebook moniker. It's the parent company that's expected to get a rebranding as early as next week. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Who loves South Australia as much as you do? FIVEaa Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Cricket first, and India has flexed its muscle after easily taking care of Australia by 8 wickets. That was in the final warm-up match for both countries ahead of their T20 World Cup campaigns. The Aussies made 5 for 152 from their 20 overs, which was never enough as the Indians chased it down with 13 balls to spare. Meantime, the women's Adelaide Strikers side has made it 2 from 2 to start the WBBL season after an 8-wicket win against the Melbourne Renegades. Let's go to football. Re-signed Adelaide youngster Nedbeck Henry says he's excited at the prospect of more midfield minutes in 2022. The 21-year-old will remain at West Lakes until at least the end of 2024, and he's told Rowie he's hoping to train more with the midfield group during the pre-season, even if it doesn't necessarily mean he plays more in there.
I think training with the mid group will hold me in good stead for some of the things I need to improve on too as a forward. So, I think it'll be a bit of both throughout the pre-season.
Meantime, Melbourne has asked the AFL for the grand final rematch to be played on Friday night in round 1 at the MCG, where the Demons will unfurl their premiership flag. Carlton and Richmond will open the season on Thursday night. Let's go to other sport. Wayne Bennett is expected to be formally announced as the Dolphins coach today. It's tipped that Bennett has agreed to a multi-year deal to be the expansion club's new coach. There's about 15 minutes to play in European Champions League action. Manchester United trailing Atalanta 2-1, while Chelsea is 4-0 up against Malmo. And Aussie Paddy Mills has impressed in his debut for the Brooklyn Nets, draining 7 from 7 from the three-point line. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough as they went down to defending champions Milwaukee by 23 points. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Do you have an existing BMW service inclusive package? You can book your next service at Glenelg BMW.
At Kensington, got an oil spill Portrush Road near Kensington Road. Left-hand lane closed for southbound. Cullington, left-hand lane also closed. This one's for outbound on the freeway due to an earlier fire. Crafers, speed restrictions on the freeway both directions for works. Got the right-hand lane closed for outbound through the tunnels. Busy on the drive-in, Green Hill Road near Glenburn Road with cameras Haydown Road, Elizabeth Grove and Blacktop Road at One Tree Hill. What's for lunch? How about a burrito or bowl from Guzmani Gomez for just $9.90? Pulled pork, grilled chicken, slow-cooked beef and more, just $9.90 on the GYG app. Download the app and order today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
The all-new Audi Q5 Sportback has arrived. Test drive it today at Audi Solitaire in Hawthorn.
22 for your Thursday and mostly sunny. A possible shower tomorrow, 21, then down to 19 with a possible shower Saturday. Right now it's 15 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Billy, don't be a hero.
Need more living space or storage? Visit olympicindustries.com.au. Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 after 7. Matt Abraham coming up after 7:30. What's going to be a big hour on 5AA Breakfast. John Blake just before 8 o'clock as well. 822 300 is our number. You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. Lots already have. And there's lots to talk about as we wrap some of the developing stories overnight and throughout the morning. Let's start with the one we were talking about just before the break. The case of 4-year-old Cleo Smith, who's still missing from a tent in remote WA, who was last seen on the weekend. hasn't been seen since 1:30am Saturday morning. Police in WA provided an update last night. Inspector John Mundy had this to say.
So update so far is today we've recommenced search operations for young Cleo. Made good progress today. We've had ADF assets, police mounted section, drones and SCS volunteers on foot, on ATVs and on vehicles doing the sectors that we've identified around the campsite. So we're making very good progress here. We've done some marine search work today as well. Until we can put our hand on our heart and say that Cleo is not in the search area, we'll continue to keep doing what we're doing. I've been speaking to Cleo's mum and dad daily. They simply don't know what to do. They don't want to leave, and that's completely understandable. So we're supporting them as much as we can. But yeah, as you can imagine, they don't know what to do. They're distraught.
He said on previous occasions they've got grave concerns for her well-being, and last night clarified the reason being is the positioning of the zipper for the flap as one of the circumstances that's caused us to have grave concerns for Cleo's safety. The reality is she couldn't have reached it.
No.
She wasn't able of opening up the tent without some sort of assistance.
Just a horrible story.
Really is. Over in the UK, there was, at least for a couple of hours overnight, a bit of concern for the Queen's health.
The Queen has cancelled a 2-day trip to Northern Ireland. She was due to arrive here this afternoon and attend a centenary church service in Armagh tomorrow. Buckingham Palace says she has reluctantly accepted medical advice to rest for the next few days.
Reluctantly accepted medical advice, which feels it feels like the Queen made them put that line in there.
Yeah, it does. Look, that's the word reluctantly. That's the Queen's own work, you'd think.
So as you've just heard in that beautiful Irish accent from the BBC there, the Queen was meant to be going to Ireland for the 100th anniversary of the creation of Northern Ireland. That's taking place. It's a significant event, 100th anniversary. So she's obviously upset to be missing it now.
She had a big day yesterday too. She met Bill Gates.
Yes,
Bill's
really getting around at the moment, isn't he?
He's been in the headlines a bit too, old Bill. Some of his questionable emails to female staff.
Yes,
hotly denied by Bill Gates.
The Queen has she's been next year. She'll celebrate her platinum jubilee, 70 years on the throne. So
70.
Hopefully she's fit and firing for that. The good news is this that came out of Buckingham Palace. She expects to attend events at the UN Climate Change Summit in Glasgow next month, as they're full bottle on climate change, the royal family, aren't they?
And it's quite funny, because last week we were talking about, Harry and Will wearing his nice green velvet jacket the other day in solidarity with Mother Earth. But the Queen was uncharacteristically lippy about it too, and said she wanted everyone there. So the Queen's, maybe she's inverting the old maxim that the older you get, the more conservative you get. She keeps going at this rate, she'll be out there gluing a bum to Victoria Square.
Oh, come on now, I can't get to that, surely. The first trailer has...
It's highly disrespectful to our monarch.
Absolutely. Love the Queen.
Be careful. Steve Marshall texted in, he loves her. He's a massive monarchist.
Huge monarchist. The first trailer for Amazon Prime's Being the Ricardos is out, written and directed by Aaron Sorkin. Javier Bardem plays Desi Arnaz.
That's a bit of a change of pace from A Few Good Men.
It certainly is.
Wouldn't it be funny if he accidentally played it as the main character from A Few Good Men?
Wouldn't be a faithful recreation of Desi Arnaz then.
If you just walked in and said to Lucy, call it.
Yeah, no, that's
holding a coin.
We take a real dark complexion. This looks really interesting. Here's a little bit of the trailer.
I am the biggest asset in the portfolio of the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Quiet, please.
The biggest asset in the portfolio of Philip Morris Tobacco Westinghouse.
Roll sound. Let's do our show.
I get paid a fortune to do exactly what I love doing.
They got their money's worth. Pictures up.
I work side by side with my husband, who is genuinely impressed by me. And all I have to do to keep it is kill for 36 weeks in a row.
Okay, let's go.
And then do it again the next year. I did this show so Desi and I could be together.
Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the show.
And action. I had no idea it was going to be a hit.
So this is one of these interesting hybrid releases. The film will be released in theatres on December the 10 in the US, Amazon Prime on December 21. They're the ones putting up the money and making a movie like this a reality. For what it's worth, Lucy Arnaz, the daughter of Desi and Lucille, says the portrayal by Nicole Kidman is absolutely spot on. She says, Nicole Kidman became my mother's soul. She crawled into her head. I don't know how you do that. She cared very deeply about this part, and it shows. They recreate things like the famous Lucille Ball crushing the grapes scene. That, if you don't know anything about Lucille Ball, you know that of that scene, and that's part of the movie as well.
The other thing too, their relationship. This is why I'm really interested to see the film. But it wasn't quite as taboo as a movie like Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, where their daughter falls in love with Sidney Poitier. I think that film came out in about 1963 or something, and going into the civil rights era. But there was similar prejudice towards the idea of an Anglo woman marrying a Latino man, and the prejudice that Mexican Americans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans all felt in the States. The backdraft of their relationship. There were these terrible race riots in LA in the 1950s called the Zoot Suit riots. Zoot Suits being those sort of twin-tone, very flash-looking suits that a lot of the Latinos liked to get around in when they were, going out on the town. And there were instances where Mexicans were like bashed to death by white people just for being, bean burners, wetbacks, all the hatred that was extended towards them. So, their relationship, that part of it will be interesting to see in the film, I think.
And I just think it's great that Lucille Ball's been the subject of a movie. You're talking about probably one of the most influential and important names in TV comedy history, in the world. And it stuns me that there hasn't been more fictional works done about her life.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's too hard. She's too big, too well known, too important. But
she's a bit of a feminist trailblazer too.
Totally.
I'm doing my show. It's doing it my way.
Yeah,
it's good.
I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating. Really looking forward to it. Gary's called in with a little bit of an update on the traffic for us. Gary, what's happening out there?
Morning, gents. Just wanted to let you know, anybody travelling east on Regency Road heading through Hampstead Road, in Hampstead Gardens near Broadview, try to avoid it like the plague because the truck's broken down and blocking the actual line of traffic, mate. So anybody going east on Regency Road will want to try and find a side street to get away from it pretty badly.
Gary, that's great info, mate. Thank you for that. We really appreciate it. We'll check traffic more broadly in just a second. In fact, we've got some advice through for Glen Osmond Road at Glenunga. Official advice this is city-bound traffic down to one lane on Glen Osmond Road near Fisher Street at Glenunga due to a vehicle breakdown. Delays expected for city-bound motorists. Please avoid the area. So there's a host of situations around the place this morning. Truck breakdowns. We've got the freeway down to one lane in a section because of the truck fire last night. We had Greg called us a little bit earlier about diesel spill that's causing some issues. So wherever you are, it's likely to be a bit slow this morning. So if you're hearing this now, maybe aim to leave just a little bit early. Let's check the traffic in a big picture sense with Glenelg BMW. They're now open on Brighton Road and you can book a test drive today.
At Fullerton, got a breakdown on Glen Osmond Road near Fisher Street. St Mary's got a burst water main there, Aylifs Road near South Road. Kensington, an oil spill, Portrush Road near Kensington Road. Left-hand lane closed for southbound and also left-hand lane closed at Callington. It's closed for outbound on the freeway due to an earlier fire. Got cameras this morning, Adams Road, Craigmore, Coventry Road, Monopara and River Road at Noarlunga Downs. 7 days of deals are on now at Bob Jane T-Marts. Up to 20% off huge wheel brands and 20% off Pirelli Dragon Sport range. Call 13 26 25 today. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Leon Biner.
WOMAD's become the first major event to reveal a COVID vaccine policy and the strict rules planned for those allowed in to what is generally a very big and successful music festival.
9 till 12 weekdays.
A bloke who's an infectious diseases expert, Professor Paul Griffin.
We know large gatherings certainly have the potential to spread the virus widely. That's going to be a high-risk environment moving forward.
SSA as Leon Biner. SSA as AA.
The time is now. 88 O'Connor
O'Connell brings new life to this landmark location. An opportunity to tell a new and unique story. A connected community with arts, culture, sport and entertainment on your doorstep. 2, 3 or 4 bedroom apartments with unparalleled views to the city, hills, coast and beyond. The long-awaited display suite is now open, showcasing the incredible lifestyle on offer at 88 O'Connell. More than an address. 88 O'Connell, North Adelaide.
Do you experience discomfort from varicose veins? Maybe you get leg or ankle swelling, pain, heaviness or fatigue, or even leg pain, aching and cramping? Well, if so, you may be suffering from chronic venous insufficiency. Nearly 25% of adults are afflicted with venous reflux disease, with 17% of people being diagnosed and only 1% receiving treatment. Unfortunately, without treatment, the problem can get much worse, even impacting your day-to-day life. So if you're having trouble with varicose veins, ask your doctor about treatment options and see if the radiofrequency ablation procedure could be right for you. Don't put up with painful varicose veins. Talk to your GP today. A message from Medtronic.
For 37 years, Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth the trip. Now that spring is here, Steinborner Automotive Gawler has stocked up with 40 hand-picked 2018-19 ZB Commodores. Choose from a range of factory edition or special black edition with black roof and black wheels. That's 2018 and 2019 ZB Commodores from $22,990, all with a balance of factory warranty. View all their used vehicles at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth the trip.
If the thought of this as a job drives you crazy, you might want a job like this. Here's Chris from ASIC Careers to tell you how.
Thanks, Rowie. ASIC Careers is growing and we need more drivers to keep our promise of perfect service. So if you want a career that takes you places, get in touch with ASIC Couriers. Don't send it, ace it.
Let's talk about extra time. Extra time because I don't have to maintain a garden. Extra time because I don't have costly home repairs. Every ECH Encore apartment at Montbreak comes with time. Time to enjoy retirement. Time to enjoy the on-site cafe, gym and community garden. So spend time in our new on-site display suite. Book an appointment today. Time for an encore? Time to live more life. Visit echencore.com.au.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Need a shed strong enough to resist the harsh Australian climate? Visit Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
20 minutes after 7. Matt Abraham coming up after 7:30. But let's flash back now with Michael Smith from 7 News. Morning to you, Michael.
Good morning, Will and Dave. A powerful edition of Flashback for you this week because we're celebrating a South Australian icon, but more importantly, we're celebrating Cyril. Do you know who Cyril is?
No. Not the guy from Blankety Blanks.
I immediately think of Graham Kennedy's Alter Ego on Blankety Blanks when he mentioned the name Cyril, but in this case, we're talking about James Cyril Stobie, the inventor of the ubiquitous and uniquely South Australian invention. Do you know the Cyril Stobie story?
I don't know the story. I know what he invented.
Yeah,
I don't know his backstory, though.
Well, he was working as an engineer for the Adelaide Electric Supply Company, as it was called, back in 1924, when he came up with the design, which really solved a couple of problems because we didn't have enough suitable timber in South Australia to build telegraph poles like they had up the East Coast. But also, it overcame the problem of termites. So he came up with this design of the concrete and steel sandwich back in 1924. There are now 700,000 of them across the state. And you would notice that there's sort of an increasing number that have been painted, decorated in various parts of Adelaide, particularly around Bowden, Brompton, Croydon.
Yeah.
There's even a street in Exeter where the residents have actually decorated them with ceramics. Have you seen those?
Yeah, it's terrific what people have done with them. And it's become a real sort of western suburbs thing as well. Because a lot of them have been undergrounded in the more la-di-da parts of town.
Well, exactly. And the new subdivisions are basically all the power's going underground.
Yeah.
Although, interestingly, they still make about 24 stubby poles a day at the factory at Angle Park. But beyond inspiring artists, they've actually inspired musos. Now, you guys would know Paul Roberts from SA Power Networks, who you have on the show if there's ever a blackout or some sort of power drama. Well, he has written an ode, a love song of sorts, to the Stobie pole. Here's a little bit of a taste of it.
No other city has them, they're pure Adelaide chic, a wonderful invention, they're simply unique. So lift your glass to Cyril, a man who's made his mark in wonderful perfection. His powerful erection keeps us from the dark.
Is that actually Paul Roberts singing?
It is Paul Roberts singing. You can hear more of it on Flashback. Next time you have him on, you should get him to the whole song.
Absolutely. Maybe next time there's some mass power outage, you can write a tune about that.
Exactly. So the average Stobie pole lasts about 80 years, the design hardly changing at all in a century. And as part of this story, I actually discovered there's an FIVEaa museum at Coralta Park. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It's only open about one day a week, but they've got the most incredible collection of old fridges and radios and televisions. And, of course, there's a whole corner devoted to celebrating Cyril and his remarkable Stobie pole. There were great hopes that the Stobie pole would be exported interstate and internationally. I think there are a handful of them in Darwin. And, David, you lived in Canberra, where I think there might be a few as well.
I didn't notice any when I was there, but it's a pity. Pity they didn't take the world by storm.
What did you describe it as? Adelaide chic.
Yeah, Adelaide chic.
Adelaide chic.
Exactly.
I like that. Thank you, Michael.
Excellent
Michael
stuff,
Smith
Michael.
from 7 News. Flashing back to the Stobie pole.
They are quite ugly, aren't they?
They're not. I mean, yeah, they're not pretty.
They're clever. It's a clever.
Yeah.
It's a elegantly simple design, but yeah, I think aesthetically, I don't know, and that's why the idea of beautifying them is a good thing.
8223 is the number to call. The Stobie pole, the kind of thing you can talk about, as Michael just said, in a number of places around Australia, and people will look at you a bit weird. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
I used to say in Sydney, and people would go, "What?"
Yeah,
it's one of those dead giveaway words.
We want to hear the words that make sense to South Australians that don't make sense elsewhere.
What about a suey?
A suey. There you go. That'll do. Don't say too many because you'll take them all from the listeners. 8223
I'll shut up now.
Text us on the Telstra Store About Barker text line. Let's turn our attention to sport while people think on that for just a moment. Stephen Rowe last night, interesting chat with a US correspondent. Secure your next vehicle now with an instant tax write-off before June 30 at North Point Toyota. He caught up with Tyrone Johnson from NBC Philadelphia about public enemy number one in that part of the US, Ben Simmons.
On behalf of the Philly fans, the passionate Philly fans, I want you to give him both barrels. Come on, way you go.
At what point, Ben Simmons, will you decide to be just a mammal? Before I was asking you to be a human. Now it's just to be a mammal and act like just a normal warm-blooded creature who recognizes that you do things right and you do things wrong, just like all of us, whether you're a human, whether you're a dog or a cat or any other mammal, a dolphin. Just act like a mammal and recognize and learn from your mistakes. You keep on making it worse. And at some point, Simmons, buy a mirror and don't look at it just to put on clothes. Look at it to evaluate yourself and do better.
Be a mammal. That's how low the bar is now for Ben Simmons in Philly. If he can just approximate a warm-blooded living creature.
That footage of him at training where he's just standing there doing nothing, it's just sad,
It's
isn't it?
unbecoming. And walk with a phone in his pocket.
He's sort of he's the Bernard Tomic of basketball, isn't he?
He is. And it's just
sort of like
it's such a
entitled
shame.
pain in the butt.
Such a shame. This is the guy that said he couldn't play for the Boomers because he was working on his game over the course of summer. There's no evidence he's been working on anything.
They only mind him working on his relationship with one of the Kardashians.
I suspect that's his priority, and it's just he's probably one of the most talented sports people that ever been produced by this country. The guy he could be one of the greatest ever in one of the biggest sports on planet Earth, and instead he's squandering it. Now, as I said previously, I think some of it is Philly have mishandled him in ways. They tried to trade him, and then they dragged him when he didn't play well in the playoffs.
What about Philly, though? If you lived there, you'd be able to eat Philly cheesesteak.
Well, that would be the upside. You've got one of the two biggest stars in town is currently sitting on the bench, and they're a side that's very much in the window. So
the other famous Philly sandwich is slow cooked pork neck or pork shoulder with stewed broccoli Italian style, and then with provolone cheese. And at the Central Market here in Adelaide, you can get a version of it just next to the big table down the southern end. They do those sandwiches there, the porchetta stand.
Stephen Rowe will be inspiring more people to talk about sandwiches tonight. Secure your next vehicle now with an instant tax write-off before June 30 at Northport Toyota. Leanne in Golden Grove, good morning.
Good morning. That's a great segue talking about sandwiches. I've got a great story about coming home from a conference from Sydney probably 10 years ago, sitting with a couple of young guys in their late 20s, first time in SA, coming over for a sporting event. They said to me, we want to try some things that are uniquely South Australian. So I made them a list, had the Belfast custard tart, the pie floaters, and I said, and you've got to have a, fresh Fritz and sauce sandwich and some Farmers Union iced coffee. And they're looking at me like, Fritz and sauce sandwich. I said, seriously, you've got to go. Any service deli in South Australia, in a shopping in a supermarket, but you have to ask for a knob of bung Fritz.
Yep, absolutely.
And they're looking at me going, no, right. So, I tried to talk them into it, but the last time I saw them, they're heading out of the plane. They've got their overhead luggage, and they're heading out of the plane, showing this list to other people going, is this legit? Is this legit?
100% it's legit.
That's a great call. 8223 0000 is our number. 5AA News coming up. Then, we're going to be rating some spin.
If you want to build a new home, something that reflects you and your lifestyle, speak with Beechwood Homes. And just so you know, they won't try and sell you a house plan. In fact, there's no house plans until you tell them what you want. So go for it. Start thinking of all the possibilities, or get in touch with Beechwood Homes for a few thought starters. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. For inspiration, visit the stunning Beechwood Homes display home in Blackwood Park.
It doesn't matter what level you're at, from beginner to expert, the incredible team at Drummond Golf just love talking golf. Here's Shane from Drummond Golf.
G'day, Rowie.
Shane, is there anything you guys don't do?
We do the lot, from fitting you to the exact clubs best suited to your game and style of play. So you can also look the part. We've got plenty of clothing and we've got all the accessories to go with it.
Now, you guys have the best accessories. Seriously, it's like a golfer's wonderland down there. All the famous brands, and you also do lessons.
Absolutely. We'll get your handicap down. And don't forget, our driving range is there to hone your skills 7 days a week.
You're a legend, Shane. See Shane and the team at Drummond Golf, Enfield, Darlington, Mile End, Tea Tree Gully, and the West Beach Driving Range.
This morning, the Variety Moto Run 4-day event departs from the incredible West Commercial and General Development at Football Park. Remember Football Park?
That's right.
We know Variety do, and they do incredible work for our kids and families here in South Australia, and they'll continue to do so with the amazing support of companies like Commercial and General, who have been a long-standing supporter of Variety SA.
Now, it's going to be quite the spectacle, seeing so many different types of motorbikes and cars in one place, as they head off to explore some of our state's most exciting and stunning destinations. And while you were there, do what Will and I did, because we've been there a couple of times. It's great. Take a look around the incredible West development.
Exactly. So head there to the Variety Moto Run, and what you also see today is the amazing vehicles as they take off at about 8 a.m, so you've got about half an hour to get there. It's from the West Commercial and General Development at Footy Park. Enjoy breakfast and the fabulous camaraderie as drivers get ready to leave, raising much-needed funds for Variety.
Our own Jane Riley's down there. She's heading off on the run, so we'll be catching up with her shortly for a chat.
How beautiful is spring? The team at Garden Grove know it, and they know how to celebrate it. The Rose Society of South Australia's Spring Rose Show is coming to Garden Grove this weekend. Celebrate some of the most stunning romantic flowers in the world. Fill your trolley with garden love while you're there, then go home and get your hands dirty.
Garden Grove, the garden that I want.
For more info, visit gardengrove.com.au.
G'day, it's Merv Hughes here. In my day, I loved battling the ponds, but these days, my missus is the enemy. Why? I snore really badly. But she saved the day by sending me for a CPAP direct sleep test. Now, the snoring is gone, I'm refreshed and revitalised.
If you like to get away, drop in to CPAP Direct to see the latest technology in travel CPAP machines and batteries, so you can snore no more on the road.
If you snore or wake up tired, head to cpap.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny 22 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience, with 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
An elderly man has been punched in the face during a home invasion. It happened on Oxford Street at Hackney shortly before 11 last night. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says the suspect ran off with a wallet and laptop.
The Eastern District Patrol flooded the area and searched with the assistance of dog operations, but unfortunately they were unable to locate the suspect. So the suspect's described as being in his mid-40s, large build, 180 centimetres tall, and he's wearing dark clothing.
The 77-year-old resident was taken to hospital for treatment. A B-double has been destroyed by fire on the freeway at Callington. Belinda Dinbar from the CFS says crews were called shortly before 8 last night.
On arrival, they found the truck fully engulfed in flames. Multiple explosions occurred due to the contents on the trailers, which were both fully destroyed by the fire.
A CFS officer was injured and taken to hospital. Principals would have greater powers to hire teachers and fire underperforming ones under a Labor pre-election plan. Labor leader Peter Malinauskas wants to accelerate the process for dealing with floundering teachers, reducing it from almost a year to 10 weeks. He says it needs to be fair for both the teacher and their students.
We think that process needs to be expedited and principals need to be given more authority over the teachers that work within their school. The overwhelming majority of teachers are exceptional. We want to ensure that's the case 100% of the time, and backing our principals in to make the tough judgment calls we think is an important first step.
The Education Union is expected to oppose the policy. An online petition calling for double-vaccinated SA residents to be allowed back into the state has now attracted more than 550 supporters. It was started by former TV personality Lee McCluskey, who's been stranded in regional Victoria for more than a month. She says thousands are being denied the right to come home.
It's incredibly disappointing. You know, I'm a hugely proud South Australian, and I cannot for the life of me understand the logic and really the lack of compassion. All of the SA health workers, they go home to their beds at night. They go home to their family. We're the poor buggers that aren't.
In the US, authorities searching a Florida park for Brian Laundrie have discovered human remains, but there's no confirmation at this stage that they belong to the fugitive. The area where the remains were found was previously underwater. A backpack and notebook belonging to the 23-year-old was also located. Laundrie is the key person of interest in the disappearance and death of his partner, Gabby Petito. Final preparations are underway for the AusAsia Festival, which launches tonight. The program runs over 3 weeks and features more than 50 shows, spanning theatre, dance and music. Artistic director Annette Shanwar says it's a chance to celebrate the Asian Australian community.
It's an opportunity to engage more deeply with what those cultures are about and what the contemporary experience of being both Asian and Australian means. It's both interesting but also important for us to understand as fellow Australians what that actually means.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
3 words make a big difference to our local dairy farmers. Flurio Milk Company. In your supermarket now.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Australia has suffered an 8-wicket loss against India in its final warm-up match ahead of the 2020 World Cup. The Aussies will play against South Africa in their first match of the tournament on Saturday. Meantime, Aussie fast bowler James Pattinson has retired from international cricket less than 2 months before the first match of the Ashes series. New Australian cricket selector Tony Dodemaide says it's a loss.
In the end, those injuries have cruelled him. He's had dreadful luck over the time, but you know, he's a big-bodied fast bowler. He's really aggressive. He can't go at 50% or 75%. You know, he's 100% when he's on. And when he's been playing well and fit, he's been so exciting to see because he really does intimidate.
To racing, trainer Annabelle Neesham will have 2 runners in Saturday's Cox Plate at Moonee Valley, including the favourite Zaki. Kiwi stayer Mwangi has also earned an invitation. Neesham says the past 12 months have been an amazing ride for her stable.
It's very special, obviously a bit nerve-wracking. This time last year I was happy with my first winner at Scone. If you'd said to me in a year's time you're going to have the favourite for the Cox Plate, then I certainly wouldn't have believed you.
To soccer, a huge comeback for Manchester United in the European Champions League. Not surprisingly, Cristiano Ronaldo in the thick of the action against Atalanta.
Quiet by the far post.
Doesn't come to him, but it does come to Ronaldo. When you need a hero, Cristiano Ronaldo rises. And Manchester United rise from 2-0 down to 3-2 up.
Yeah, that's the way it stayed. The Red Devils winning 3-2 while Chelsea smashed Malmo 4-0. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Glenelg BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Book a test drive today.
At Fullerton, got a broken down truck on Glen Osmond Road near Fisher Street in the left-hand lane. It's affecting city-bound. Kensington, oil spill on Portrush Road near Kensington Road. Left-hand lane closed for southbound. Callington, left-hand lane also closed. This is for outbound on the freeway due to an earlier fire. And Crayford, speed restrictions on the freeway, both directions for works. Right-hand lane closed for outbound throughout the tunnels. Cameras today, Main North Road, Smithfield and Tatachilla Road at McLaren Vale. CanStar Blue has awarded Bow Repairs the award for most satisfied customers in the car tile retailer category. So if you need tyres, call 13 23 81 or drop in store today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
The all-new Audi Q5 Sportback has arrived. Test drive it today at Audi Solitaire in Hawthorn.
Mostly sunny today, 22, a possible shower tomorrow, 21, Saturday a possible shower, 19. Right now it's 15 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Need a shed strong enough to resist the harsh Australian climate? Visit Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 to 8, John Blake coming up just before 8 o'clock, but between now and then we've got spin relate and state politics to talk about. Matt Abraham in the 5AA Breakfast studio with us. Mitre 10 of everything you need for spring. Quality brands at great prices. That's mighty helpful. Mitre 10. And Matt, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, David.
Matt, we're just chatting off air. I spent a very interesting 3 hours up in Mount Barker on Friday doing a piece for the Oz about the surge in independent sentiment and what was once the home of the Downer dynasty. You know, for 4 of the last 8 decades, almost exactly 40 years, that seat up there was held by a Downer. Firstly Sir Alec, then Alexander, then Georgina had a crack. But now it feels like a no-go zone for the major parties.
There's that famous speech that Mick Young gave, or the sledge of Alexander Downer. Mick Young, former and now sadly departed federal Labor MP for Port Adelaide. And he said that he went up to the Downer mansion once and made a mistake. He was heading towards what he thought was a mansion, but found out that was the Downer kids' dollhouse.
Good class warrior.
But now, and I assume you were wearing Birkenstocks and socks, your Birkenstock sandals and socks in the Adelaide Hills to fit in.
Well, it's sort of a bit of that, but it's also, there's a lot of just young suburban families that are no different from the families who will buy land at St Clair or, you know, get a new home and land package at Seaford Meadows or, you know, out near Roseworthy or something like that. People are just getting into the property market. And this is where, to use a John Howardism, these aren't rusted-ons. These aren't people with a lifelong voting habit either way. They just want someone who's going to fly the flag for their area.
That's right. And I don't think they're people who'd give a fig about whether their local independent is the speaker in the House of Assembly. That'd be, to me, that's just not even on the radar. It just doesn't count. But the Liberals, Liberal Party HQ has been polling, and I use the term in inverted commas, just using a little mini-me air figures there, because it's called push polling, when you ring people up to get their opinion on something, but in the process you're pushing a negative message. So this so-called polling, which is classic push polling in the Hills, is would you support Dan Cregan? I'm just paraphrasing the words here, but something along the lines of, would you support Dan Cregan as your local MP, knowing that, you know, he's sold out effectively, that he's disloyal,
he's a turncoat.
He's a turncoat, all the languages, effectively, you know, that he's a liar. Using that language to get a response from people. So you're not really interested in what they think. You want them to think what you're thinking. You want them to get that, that Dan Cregan, I didn't know he was a turncoat, you know. I don't know
if I necessarily condemn that tactic, though. I think that's a valid part of politics, given that he was elected as a Liberal MP with the support of the party, with the support of the volunteers, and to do it on election eve, I think, well, they've got the right to fire back.
Sure.
But the question I would ask
is...
Does
it work, though?
100%.
Yeah.
Because no one on Gawler Street last week was grabbing me by the lapel, mainly because I was wearing a T-shirt. But, no one was saying, what about this speakership rort?
Yes.
They were saying things like, I live in Strath, and when my daughter was at Mount Barker Hospital, I missed the bus one day, and I rang them and said, what time's the next one come? They said 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's what they care about.
Yeah. And if it's a safe Liberal seat, even though it's the same person, it goes from being, oh, we're a safe Liberal seat, don't have to worry about us, to, oh, we've got an independent Liberal, they need to keep him on side. We'll start to get things like a decent bus service in the Adelaide Hills, decent transport, community facilities.
They're an interesting case study looking at the Libs' treatment of Dan Cregan on the way out and Fraser Ellis, who they're going to run dead against, effectively. And I just wonder, obviously there are particulars involved in those two individual cases that make one strategy preferable in one case and then the other in the other. But broadly speaking, when you've got people deserting the party and going independent, historically the thinking has been you can't make that seem like an attractive option without downside. Because it can be, as we've seen, independents are really hard to shake in politics. Once they take hold, you're in. And sometimes that can be pretty good job security in politics. You don't otherwise have it. You don't have to deal with a master. You don't have to go and spruik unpopular policies to your electorate because that's what the party position is.
Don't have to face a pre-selection challenge.
Don't have to face a pre-selection challenge.
You pre-select yourself.
But the Marshall government's in a weird spot where suddenly there's independents popping up everywhere. So I just wonder, as a sort of a macro strategy for Stephen Marshall and the Libs, should they be trying to make everyone's life as difficult as possible, or do they have to treat it more of the Ellis model to make sure they're in 5-6 months' time, and then sort of work on it at a later date?
Yeah, well, they are. I think that's their dilemma.
Yeah,
you don't want to make it look. Oh yeah, we don't mind if you run.
No, because there'll be others.
As long as if we get back as minority government, you support us. Because that's not, that's not certain. So. Are you going to make it hard for them? Are you going to make it easy for them? And it looks like they're going for a bit of a shandy there. So they're having a crack at Dan Cregan. But Fraser Ellis, they're saying to Fraser Ellis, who's facing charges, which he's strongly defending, stemming from, I think it was a NICAC investigation.
Yeah, it was.
So they're saying to him, well, they're not saying to him, but the party's grappling. What do we do with him? Do we let him back in the party? Because the court case has now been put off, as most of them have been, by the way, until after, how convenient, until after the March election.
Well, it's the same scenario as Troy Bell. So
exactly.
There's a template that already exists.
And Troy Bell, his case looks like it was run over past the last election when he got re-elected easily as an independent, despite the charges hanging over him. And it looks like it's going to be rolled over again till after March.
Yeah.
So Fraser Ellis, it won't be happening until after March, after the election. So do you let him back in the party room? Well, that's problematic. But they're flagging that they're just going to run dead against him in the seat. So you'll field a candidate, but you'll probably pick the laziest, slackest, most unelectable candidate who won't get out of bed before about 3 in the afternoon. Or
someone from the city who's never been to the area. Right, they're always good in those situations.
Someone who drives a really expensive car.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing, though, I think, is it's not so much... It's not just politicians' behaviour. It's also voter behaviour, because it's important to remember there are significant parts of South Australia that would otherwise be pretty safe Liberal areas that have almost been trained to indeed love independence. And that's why I think someone like Steve Murray's name keeps getting mentioned in dispatches. He strikes me as just a straight up and down, no-nonsense bloke. Now, his seat of Devonport is based around Aberfoyle Park, but a lot of that is Bob Such's old seat. And Bob Such is still spoken of in hushed and reverential tones in Adelaide's outer south. And this is where I think, if it comes to something like the government making a silly decision about things like, I don't know, bus services in Flagstaff Hill or Aberfoyle Park, I reckon the pressure comes on the MPs, not so much from the party, but the locals who go, mate, we just want someone who's going to fly the flag for us and isn't beholden to anyone. And the real danger for the Libs is that a lot of these areas should be traditional Liberal seats, but there's a sort of increasingly sort of almost militant independent sentiment where the temptation for people is to go, actually, I'm here to stick up for my area. And when you've got a Premier who almost by his own admission now has mismanaged the internal politics. He hasn't put in enough work and time and thought into tummy tickling and keeping people on side, making sure they're inside the tent, whatting out rather than the other way around. Marshall's the master of this mess to a very large degree.
Yeah, and he's an inner city MP. It's quite interesting that the Liberal Party have, we had John Olsen, you had Rob Kerrin, who are premiers, but and leaders who are country MPs, and Isabel Redmond. Steve Marshall, and it's probably part of his electoral success, is an inner city, your classic Norwood area, your seat of Dunstan MP. One of the reasons why I think it's so easy for country MPs to retain support when they go independent is because they haven't come up through some sort of factional system. Many of them are, might be Stephen Canol's family run the Barossa Small Goods Company. People know them, might have known him, been served Fritz from the shop, a knob of Fritz, perhaps.
A knob of bung Fritz.
Or they've been a mayor of, in York Peninsula or somewhere like that. People know them. They don't know them as leader of the Shop Assistants Union, for instance, who've been, suddenly my local MP. Never heard of them before. They know them. And so, and they bump into them, as you said. You might bump into them at a local footy club, on a netball course on a Saturday morning, and so on. So if they go independent, it's the same person. He hasn't changed.
Yeah,
he's still representing us. So it makes it. I think that's part of the success why so many of them have become independents and held their seats.
And it's easy to sell the message too that no one in the city cares about us.
That's right.
There's no option.
Well, the other
for
thing
us
too,
unless we're independent.
And again, to go back to Steve Marshall and the way he's conducted himself as premier, you don't win South Australia from Lot 14. And you've written columns along those lines, man.
Well, I live in the city. I haven't got a clue what's going on in Lot 14. I hear, blockchain technology. Oh, great, blockchain technology. Okay.
Microsatellites.
Like that's what? Yeah. And look, I'm sure it's all very exciting for the people at Lot 14.
Yeah. But
I have a funny feeling that if the millions of dollars of government subsidy in terms of dollars and or rent vanished overnight, so would Lot 14. It is propped up big time by government subsidies.
But the point is, though, a little bit less of that and a little bit more of the Macclesfield to Wistow roundabout.
Yeah. A little bit less time on the dance floor.
All right, let's see what you've got for us this week here.
5 out of 10, every time.
Let's rate some spin.
Well, this is a National Senate. As you know, the National Party are grappling with this whole new phenomenon of climate change.
Yes.
It's been sprung on them.
Came out of nowhere, this one.
We're expected to make a decision after only 4 hours. Well, what about the last 14 years? But anyway, this is Matt Canavan, National Senator, after I think their first 4-hour meeting on it.
The party room here is being gaslighted, and that's kind of ironic given that it's being gaslighted by people who want to end the use of fossil fuels. This could get a little bit ugly.
Now, gaslighting, of course, is, effectively blaming other people for your actions. It's a vague new term, but I didn't know that it was a fossil fuel problem, gaslighting. But anyway, Matt Canavan, I'm giving you a big 6 out of 10.
5 out of 10, every time.
Good on you, Matt. Matt Abraham, thanks to Mitre 10. They've got everything you need for spring, quality brands at great prices. That's mighty helpful, Mitre 10. Time to check traffic. Glenelg BMW, they're now open on Brighton Road, and you can book a test drive today.
At Broadview, you've got a broken down truck on Hampstead Road near Regency Road. Fullerton, broken down truck on Glen Osmond Road near Fisher Street in the left-hand lane affecting citybound. Kensington, oil spill, Portrush Road near Kensington Road, left-hand lane closed for southbound. And Callington, left-hand lane closed for outbound on the freeway. That's due to an earlier fire. Look out for cameras Coventry Road, Monopara, and Grants Gully Road, Chandler's Hill. OTR's got your summers sorted with their Sea Coffee Iced range. Delicious iced coffee, iced chocolate, and the new iced matcha. Order your favourites today at OTR. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Got a picture of your dream bathroom in your head? Then your builder or project manager saying, we can't get that in Adelaide? Well, there's a great chance you can. Just ask for ABK Supplies, Adelaide Bathroom and Kitchen Supplies. As a local independent specialist, ABK Supplies has a massive range of brands, not just the ones your builder is stuck with. Get your dream bathroom or kitchen renovation products sooner. Ask for ABK Supplies. Go to abksupplies.com.au or see the showroom, Lower North East Road, opposite Dernacourt Village.
Exus. EXIIS. You'll find Exis at work in restaurants, pubs, supermarkets, universities, aged care homes, hospitals, councils, wineries and defence. So, what do the Exis team do? Pretty much everything that others don't want to do. The grunt and grime work, the difficult and dirty cleaning jobs. High risk, high levels, confined spaces. No matter what industry you're in, you can count on Exis to keep it clean and hygienic. Exis.com.au.
You could easily be living the life, but you'll need to be quick. The 19th at West is selling premium 2, 3 and 4 bedroom architecturally designed homes from just $730K. Stunning homes with a stunning lifestyle. Explore West's green pathways, paddle on the iconic lake, swim at Grange Beach, or play around at the Grange Golf Club. Start building now and move in next year. Hurry, from $730K, they'll sell fast. Visit the19thwest.com.au.
The Nissan Navara SL with Style Pack is here. Now you can get the ute that can go absolutely anywhere with a Nissan Genuine Nudge Bar, upgraded wheels, bonnet protector, weather shields and more included. Get the Nissan Navara SL Dual Cab 4x4 manual with Style Pack from only $49,490 drive away for ABN buyers. Plus, every Navara includes our standard 5-year warranty and roadside assist. Contact your Nissan dealer to find out more. Limited stock available. T's and C's apply.
Now, you all know that I love my local Mitre 10. It's packed full of quality brands at great prices for all those jobs that need to be done around the home and out in the garden.
Now is the perfect time to get the garden sorted, and to help, Mitre 10's Get Busy this spring catalogue is out now.
That's right, weather's warming up, so get into Mitre 10, whether it's fertilising, killing off the weeds, making sure your lawn is green, or getting the outdoor area more aesthetically pleasing with pots and plants. Your local Mitre 10 has everything you need, along with mighty helpful advice too.
It doesn't matter how big or small the next project is, Mitre 10 can supply everything you need along with helpful advice. So check out their Get Busy this spring catalogue. It's on sale now. That's mighty helpful Mitre 10, quality brands at great prices.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Need more living space or storage? Visit olympicindustries.com.au. Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 to 8, it's 15.7 degrees outside in the city right now, heading for a top today of 22. Pretty reasonable day. 20% chance of a light shower over the course of the morning, albeit it doesn't look like it's going to materialise, at least here in the city right now. The winds will be slightly lower than yesterday too. West to northwesterly, 15 to 25 k's an hour. It'll turn south to a southwesterly later in the afternoon. Tomorrow, 21, maybe a little bit of a drizzle, which is the story too for Saturday, 19. Similar sorts of days. Both days, up to half a mil of rain at best. Then on Sunday, 20, but it's the start of something good. 22 on Monday and sunny with light winds. 30 on Tuesday and similar. 33 on Wednesday. And in true spring form, potential of a thunderstorm on Wednesday as well, and maybe just 3 mils of rain to come with it.
Felt a bit like that last night. Didn't quite get there, though. We were talking earlier, inspired by a chat with our good friend Michael Smith, about the Stobie poll, terms that mean nothing to the less educated and sophisticated people of the eastern states of Australia. Simon in Tanunda says, I said bunter once in Melbourne, got a priceless reaction. And one here, 3 words that fill our collective hearts with joy in this fine state: double cut roll.
Oh, yes.
How good is a double cut roll?
Why hasn't that travelled as a concept?
I've got to stop talking about food. We got this text from Carly and Largs that said, this is inspired by our sport chat where things went well and truly off the rails, talking about Philadelphia basketball team. I got into the famous sandwiches of Philadelphia. Carly said, Will, I love how you can't even bring yourself to pretend to be interested in Pembo's food chats anymore. The boredom is palpable.
Carly, I'll tell you a little bit of a radio secret. When it's about 2 minutes away from the news and our producer's giving us an angry look, David could reveal the secret to curing cancer on the air and I'd sound uninterested. It's time for John Blake, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, Interstate Freight Distribution, Warehousing and Local Adelaide Couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
The Office of the Premier of South Australia, the Honourable Stephen Marshall.
Yes, Julian.
Premier Cuppa?
Yes, please.
Right, I'll bring it in.
Okay.
Tea lady!
Oh, great. What time did you get in?
I was a bit late
late this morning, normal stuff, slept in, traffic was a nightmare, people glued to the road, you know.
Yeah, it can be a worry.
Someone should tell these people that if they really want to glue themselves to bitumen, using super glue is not the way to go.
Oh, really?
No, super glue doesn't bond skin to bitumen very well. If they want to stick themselves down properly, they should have used some sort of industrial epoxy.
Yeah, where would they get that?
Well, I'm not sure. They could go and steal some from the Department of Transport depot, wherever that is.
Oh, I don't think they'd steal.
Why not? They're obviously above the law.
Yes, that's true.
And if they're serious about their cause and got some of that glue, they'd be well and truly stuck down.
Yes, well.
You know those little reflectors you see on the road?
Yes.
That's the stuff they stick those down with.
Oh, right.
They don't come off.
No, that's true.
It has to be strong because you have to be able to drive right over those reflectors without dislodging them.
Yeah, of course.
Actually, Extinction Rebellion should use that as their catch cry. We'll be stuck to Victoria Square and we won't come loose even if you drive right over us. Oh, I've got a feeling a lot of peak hour motorists would be right on board with that idea.
Yes, I think you're right.
More from John Blake coming up after 8:30 where we go behind closed doors.
For 37 years, Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth the trip. Now that spring is here, Steinborner Automotive Gawler has stocked up with 40 hand-picked 2018-19 ZB Commodores. Choose from a range of factory edition or special black edition with black roof and black wheels. That's 2018 and 2019 ZB Commodores from $22,990, all with the balance of factory warranty. View all their used vehicles at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth the trip.
South Australia's health system is at breaking point. If it was a patient, it would be in need of urgent and intensive care. Chronic ramping of ambulances is just one of the many symptoms of the squeeze on our health system. Emergency departments are regularly over capacity and record numbers of patients are waiting for beds. With the community now at risk, it's time for urgent action. Help stop the squeeze. Go to actionforhealth.com.au. Written and authorised by Eda Bars, ANMF, SA Branch, Riverton, SA.
Now, are you ready for your next escape adventure? Adelaide's big four-wheel drive and adventure show and the Club Marine SA Boat and Fishing Show is on, and it's on the 22nd to the 24th of October at Adelaide Showground.
All the gear and advice you need for your next adventure is there, and plenty of people to talk to who know their stuff, and you can ask those burning questions. See everything from caravans, camper trailers, camping, boats and fishing gears, four-wheel drive accessories and more.
There's special guests and plenty of entertainment. You could even get your boat licence at the show. How about that? Catch highly anticipated new vehicle releases, including the 300 series Land Cruiser.
Plus, enter for your chance to win the adventure-ready Jayco Crosstrack. Gear up for your next outdoor escape.
The four-wheel drive and adventure show plus Club Marine SA Boat and Fishing Show is on this weekend, 22nd to the 24th of October at Adelaide Showground. Get your tickets online at 4-Wheel Drive Show. That's 4wdshow.com.au.
If you need a window, and not just anything will do, just call Statesman Windows. Factory direct to you.
Nobody beats Statesman Windows, not on quality and certainly not on service. Windows, sliding doors, bifolds and more, made right here in Adelaide, factory direct to you. For windows when and where you want them, call Statesman Windows, states.com.au.
Windows when and where you want them. Windows when and where you want them.
Have you scraped or dented your caravan? Your insurance should cover that, and Walker Crash Repairs will fix it right and on time. Walker Crash Repairs, an RAA-approved crash repairer for caravans and cars.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny 22 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations, physioextra.com.
The Prime Minister says he's pleased Australia's vaccine rollout is back on track, but we can't become complacent. 70% of the population 16 and over is now fully vaccinated, with Victoria and Tasmania the latest jurisdictions to reach the milestone. The nation's vaccine program had been plagued by supply problems, but Scott Morrison has told Today the issue has been resolved.
We originally said even last year that we hoped to be at a point that we would be hitting these vaccination rates in October. And we've overcome those challenges and we've got it on track, and I particularly thank Greg Hunt and General Fruin and Professor Murphy.
GPs are pushing for more funding, saying they'll have to manage the bulk of COVID patients heading forward. The Royal Australian College of General Practitioners says vaccines will lead to milder cases of the virus, which will see more people head to their local doctor. GP support comes from the federal government. A once familiar face on Adelaide TV is petitioning to get vaccinated South Australians back home. Lee McCluskey has been stranded in regional Victoria for more than a month. Reports suggest SA Health is taking 6 to 8 weeks to process exemptions. McCluskey says that's ridiculous.
Huge regard for Stephen Marshall, but he's lost me on this one because logically I can't see any sensible reason why they're handling it in this way. And I think it's cruel and I think it really lacks the compassion. And I always thought that South Australia was a fairly compassionate community. You know, we are a smaller community.
So far, the petition has attracted more than 550 supporters. Underperforming teachers in SA could be sacked by principals in just 10 weeks under a Labor pre-election pledge. Labor leader Peter Malinauskas says principals should have more power to hire and fire teachers in their schools. But he is expecting some resistance to the plan.
We don't expect to get support from the Education Union, but we do know that principals are looking for a bit more authority over the teachers that work within their schools. They want to make good teachers permanent, so we're going to increase the rates of permanency, but they also want the ability to have an expedited process to deal with poor performing teachers and get them out of the classroom if they're not able to do the job.
The Liberals say they've always supported giving principals more power and students should come first. The hunt is continuing for a man wanted over a home invasion at Hackney. It happened on Oxford Street shortly before 11 last night. The 77-year-old resident was punched in the face. His wallet and laptop were stolen. There have been multiple explosions at the site of a truck fire on the freeway. The B-double went up in flames at Callington last night. The rig gutted in the blaze. Belinda Dunbar from the CFS says one person was hurt.
During the firefighting operations, a CFS officer was injured and transported to hospital.
Police in the US have uncovered human remains along with personal items in the search for Florida fugitive Brian Laundrie. The 23-year-old has been missing for more than a month and is the key person of interest in the murder of his partner, Gabby Petito. FBI Tampa Special Agent Michael McPherson says the items were found in an area which was previously underwater.
Investigators found what appears to be human remains, along with personal items, such as a backpack and notebook belonging to Brian Laundrie.
Russian President Vladimir Putin will not attend the United Nations Climate Summit in Glasgow. He didn't give a reason for his decision, but the Kremlin says climate change remains high on Russia's agenda. A spokesman for the leader says he'll take part in the event remotely. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Who loves South Australia as much as you do? Fluorio Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it.
It's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Australia has been well beaten in its final warm-up match prior to the 2020 World Cup, going down by 8 wickets to India. Steve Smith, though, found some form with 57, but Dave Warner again struggled, making only 1. Meantime, the Adelaide Women's Strikers team is top of the WBBL table after recording their second win to start the season, smashing the Melbourne Renegades by 8 wickets. To soccer, the Matildas are pushing ahead with preparations for their upcoming matches against Brazil, despite an investigation hanging over their heads. Team legend Lisa Devana has sparked a culture review after making allegations of harassment and bullying towards junior players. Forward Caitlin Ford says it's nice to be on home soil after 19 months abroad.
I can't even explain how nice it was to see flying in Australia. It was just a crazy feeling after being so long.
Meantime, in European Champions League action, it's been a great morning for the English clubs. Manchester United coming from 2-0 down to beat Atalanta 3-2, while Chelsea crushed Malmo 4-0. And Barcelona beat Dinamo Kiev 1-0. To other sport now, AFL great and former Crow Eddie Betts isn't hanging up the boots just yet, heading north to play a number of games for the Palmerston Magpies in Darwin. Boomers coach Brian Goorjian is urging NBA teams to snap up talented Aussie Dante Exum. That's after he was cut by the Houston Rockets. Meantime, the NBA season will continue this morning with several big games on, including Josh Giddey's Oklahoma up against Joe Ingles' Utah Jazz. And in the Major League Baseball playoffs, Game 5 has just started in the American League Championship Series between the Houston Astros and Boston Red Sox. The Astros leading 1-0 at the top of the second inning. The LA Dodgers will play against the Atlanta Braves in Game 4 of the National League Series a little later this morning. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Do you have an existing BMW service inclusive package? You can book your next service at Glenelg BMW.
Got a few trucks to look out for this morning that are broken down. One at Erbray on Glen Osmond Road near Portrush Road at the bottom of the freeway. It's blocking the left-hand turn on a crossroad. Another one at Broadview, Hampstead Road near Regency Road, and another one at Fullerton. It's on Glen Osmond Road near Fisher Street in the left-hand lane affecting Citybound. Look out for an Augustville this morning. Kensington, Portrush Road near Kensington Road, left-hand lane closed for southbound, and Callington, left-hand lane closed there for outbound on the freeway due to an earlier fire. Want free delivery? Shop amazon.com.au. Browse millions of items and receive free delivery on eligible orders over $39. Amazon.com.au. Easy as. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
The all-new Audi Q5 Sportback has arrived. Test drive it today at Audi Solitaire in Hawthorn.
A mostly sunny day on the way with a top of 22, possible shower tomorrow 21, Saturday a possible shower 19. Right now it's 16 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Need more living space or storage? Visit olympicindustries.com.au. Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 after 8, Breaking 8 is coming up in just a moment. We'll take you through some of the developing stories of the morning shortly, featuring Scott Morrison, the FBI, and our very own Jane Riley. Then after 8:30 today, we're going to talk about the Labor Party's policy to empower principals to hire and fire school teachers. If you've heard it before, it's because it's been debated in public before, but this time Labor on the side of advocating a position of empowering principals. So we'll get into that after 8:30 today. It's time for Breaking 8.
Well, whatever actual work our state parliamentarians are meant to do when the place actually sits, and it doesn't really sit that often, it didn't look like they were doing terribly much of it last week with all of the silly goings-on involving defections, elevations to the speakership and so forth. Now, while all of that was happening, there's in fact two hugely important pieces of legislation that are currently before the South Australian Parliament, and quite shamefully, they have not yet been passed. We are totally dragging the chain here as a state. We are the last state in Australia to bring in two very important pieces of legislation that involve protecting children against abuse. There's the Statutes Amendment Bill and the Civil Liability Bill. Now, these two laws, these are basically things that emanated from the Royal Commission into the abuse of institutionalised abuse of children. And everyone's familiar with the harrowing evidence and the systemic and often organised mistreatment that kids suffered through churches and so forth. Now, these are both government bills. They're likely to receive bipartisan support from the opposition. But the problem is that in this term of Parliament, we're actually now running out of time to pass them. It's not that there's any fight over the legislation. They're just sitting there in a pile, and the Parliament hasn't got off its backside to actually pass them. Now, as things stand, there's only 2 confirmed sitting weeks left for the remainder of 2021. And after that, there's likely only 1, at best 2 sitting weeks prior to the election in March 2022. Now, the important thing that these laws do is that they reform the criminal justice system involving issues such as failure to report child abuse, failure to protect children from abuse. They also give children and adults who, as children, suffered this kind of mistreatment greater redress to receive compensation from the institutions that were negligent and derelict in allowing them to be abused. As part of this Breaking It 8, we're going to have a quick chat to Steve Fisher. He's the CEO of the advocacy organisation Beyond Abuse. Steve, we've got you on the line. You heard everything I just said, mate. We were having a bit of a chat yesterday about this. My understanding is you actually spoke to the government liaising on some of these reforms. It is pretty frustrating that it's just sitting there gathering dust, isn't it?
Yes, it is frustrating, but from our point of view, it would be very sad if all the time and money that has been spent by advocates and especially the state government to get the bill to this stage, for the government not to pass it before the next election. And credit where credit's due, we have been working with Vicky Chapman ourselves and survivor advocates in South Australia, particularly Sarah Keane, who's very well known. And basically what's happened is we'd just like to know that it is going to be passed before the next election. And as I said, credit where credit's due. Once we started working with the government, they did bring the bill on as soon as possible. And the thing is, it's passed the Legislative Council, and it's now sitting there amongst about 20 other bills waiting to be passed.
Yeah, I suppose the thing for victims too, who you advocate for, Steve, is that they've probably had, in many cases, not just years, but decades of being fobbed off. So they want to see some action on this to bring us in line with the rest of the country.
Well, that's the bottom line, is that the people, the survivors in South Australia are the only state or territory left where these recommendations of the Royal Commission have not been passed. And as we know, child sexual abuse is one of the most horrific crimes that can be committed against a person. And finally, these amendments and law changes have been approved, and unfortunately, the people of South Australia, the survivors there, are not getting the type of justice, particularly with I won't say redress, I'll say with compensation, that survivors in the other states of Australia are.
Well, good on you, Steve. We'll stay in touch on this and keep pushing on it. Good on you, Steve Fisher from Beyond Abuse. Thanks for joining us, mate.
13 after 8, let's get into some of the stories that have been developing over the course of the morning. The Prime Minister today was expected to come out and have a bit to say about vaccine rates right across the country. He was on Sunrise a short time ago, and here's what he had to say.
Well, I can officially confirm, just got the figures. Victoria has reached 70.51% vaccination rate, double dose, right across the state. And good on Tassie too, because they've hit 70.6% right across the country now, 70.83%. And under the national plan, that means they can now move into Phase B. They can start taking the steps, as you say, at 11:59 tonight. The longest road has been journeyed in Victoria, and that long road really starts to open up tonight. But as always, all states and territories coming from a different starting point, they'll all cautiously find their way back. This is not a big opening in that first step. In the Australian way, we move cautiously, but we move deliberately so we can safely open up, so we can remain open safely. That's the key. We've got to stay open once we get open.
PM's office keen to change the narrative on this, I think, because they're sensing there is momentum amongst Australians for a view that we are now doing exceptionally well on the vaccine rollout. We compare ourselves to the United States and places that had eclipsed us earlier. We've caught them. We've overtaken them. So
SA's got a lift, though. We are fourth.
Yeah.
We're the fourth place state. We are 15% behind New South Wales, first jab, that is. And about 20% behind New South Wales' second jab, showing that, you know, the prospect of death and disease is the ultimate call to arms. And, you know, if you're still, you know, umming and ahhing about it, huge kudos to Andrew from Rosedale who texted in. Remember, we had the friendly chat on air about, you know, he was a vaccine waverer. Andrew's texted in saying, hey guys, I had my second shot yesterday and I'm still alive. I'm going to start spelling my name with 2 Ds for a double dose of my COVID shot. That is now Andrew, ANDDREW from Rosedale. Good on you, mate.
Absolutely. Now, the other story that we knew would develop over the course of the morning is one we started with David Woiwod for 7 News in the US a little bit earlier. There had been at that time a breakthrough in the search for a wanted and missing US man by the name of Brian Laundrie, who's wanted for the murder of his travel blogger partner, Gabby Petito. At that point in the morning, we had news that some of his personal belongings had been found, and the expectation was the FBI was on the cusp of calling a press conference to announce some more. That has just happened.
Earlier today, investigators found what appears to be human remains, along with personal items, such as a backpack and notebook belonging to Brian Laundrie. These items were found in an area that up until recently had been underwater. Our evidence response team is on scene using all available forensic resources to process the area. It's likely the team will be on scene for several days. and continue to ask for your assistance in bringing this investigation to close. Thank you.
Was the backpack found near the body? Justice for Gabby! Justice for Gabby! Justice for Gabby!
There was a protest that started among people outside the press conference too, shouting "Justice for Gabby."
Something I never understand about Americans, like people go, like, you know, the Free Britney people, like go and join a protest outside a court case or at a police press conference.
And I'm not sure. It sounds to me like the FBI are they're on it.
Yeah.
They're aware.
Well, exactly. They're getting.
It's the whole point of the press conference.
That's right. That's what it's about. Bring the.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yes.
The other thing that's happening in Adelaide right now is the Variety Moto Run. We've been speaking about it over the course of the morning. You get down and see the cars before they all set off. Jane Riley is among them and joins us now. Jane, good morning.
Morning, guys. A big crowd here to see the Moto Run off. We're heading off in about 10 minutes, staying here in South Australia and raising money for the children of South Australia. And this morning, we have seen a presentation of how that money is spent with the presentation of a sunshine coach to one of the local schools here, to Hendon Primary School. So that's all gone very, very well. A big crowd taking part. There's about 41 vehicles, and it's not like the Bash. These are like luxury cars. So I'm actually in a 2008 Bentley GT Continental with a 12W engine. So it actually growls as it makes its way around. But we're here at West, which is where I'm standing, used to be the Max Bashir Oval. And West is the big residential complex development by Commercial and General, who have sponsored the bus that's been given today to the Hendon Primary School. So it's a lot of people coming together for the good cause, and we're really pleased to have Commercial and General on board to help us out as well. But we're heading off. I was keeping my eye on the clock, guys, because I thought I was going to miss the start line, because we're right up the front. But it's been a great morning here. Where I'm standing is called Central Park. It's just a beautiful location. From here, we go to Pine Point on York Peninsula, Balaclava, and tonight we're in the Barossa. We're actually going to take 4 days to get to Victor Harbour, so a very meandering route that we're going to take. But look, just before we head off, I just thought you'd like to hear from the principal of Hendon Primary School, Troy Paython, talking about how much this sunshine coach they've received today from Variety and Commercial in General means to his kids at his school.
Jane, the coach for us means so much, not just as a school community, but specifically for our kids, that it provides experiences that they may otherwise not get on a weekly basis. We couldn't be more thankful to Variety for the very kind donation. As I say, what it brings to the children and the smiles on their faces when they get to have these outings is priceless.
Good stuff. I was saying before, Jane, we had a lot of really nice footy games between Grange Primary and Hendon Primary. It's a wonderful little school, and great that Commercial and General have helped them out that way.
Oh, look, there's a lot of special needs kids in that school.
Yeah.
Kids with sort of, we were hearing this morning that some of the kids actually arrive at school without even having breakfast, and they can't afford to go on excursions, they can't afford to go to swimming lessons. So having the Sunshine Coach means that they can go to the swimming lessons, they can go to Monarto, they can have those experiences that most of us take for granted and think that everyday kids can have. But there are, pockets of children in our community that really need the hand that Variety gives them. And Variety, I'm so passionate about it, is about filling in those gaps where government and local people can't do it. We fill those gaps in and just make life better for those kids and their families.
I'll tell you what, they had a good little footy team, though. It was always a close game. That's great, Jane. Really good chatting to you. It was great seeing you at Best of SA last week, too.
Yeah, love you guys. Love being part of your team.
Good on you, Jane. Jane Riley on the Moto Run this morning. Sounds like a hell of a lot of fun. I'm interested to know if any of our listeners got down and saw any of the cars. Let us know. Text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line or give us a call, 8223 0000. Andy informs me there's been a bit of a sporting story developing this morning as well. It's midweek, so of course it's Champions League action. Manchester United, Atalanta, the Italian side facing off. Atalanta go 2-0 to the good. Manchester United get it back 2-2 in the 75th minute. Then in the 81st minute, who else but this man would have the final say?
That's a testing ball. Ronaldo! The legend that keeps on giving.
Certainly does. Cristiano Ronaldo. He's 36 years of age. He's gone back to the Premier League, and this guy has proven he will score goals wherever he goes. Champions League, Premier League, Spain, Italy, it doesn't matter. One of the all-time greats.
He's a phenomenal player. Remember that 3-3 draw between Spain and Portugal in the World Cup a couple of years ago?
The guys just...
That was one hell of a game.
Yeah, just absolutely remarkable. 22 minutes after 8, let's check traffic. Do you have an existing BMW service inclusive package where you can book your next service at Glenelg BMW?
Got a few broken trucks to look out for this morning. One at FIVEaa, Glen Osmond Road near Portrush Road at the bottom of the freeway, blocking the left-hand turn onto Cross Road. Another one at Broadview, Hampstead Road near Regency Road. Another one at Fullerton, Glen Osmond Road near Fisher Street, the left-hand lane affecting Citybound. Got an Orwellsville, Kensington, Portrush Road near Kensington Road, left-hand lane closed for southbound. And look out for cameras, Blacktop Road, One Tree Hill and Aldinga Road at Wollonga. To celebrate 50 years of the FIVEaa Canter in Australia, 3 lucky customers will each win back the value of their limited edition Canter 515 truck. See website for details. FIVEaa, job done. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowies Sport Show.
NBA star Ben Simmons, well, he's not a star, he's a goose. NBC Philly, we spoke to him before. Tyrone.
At what point, Ben Simmons, will you decide to be just a mammal? Before I was asking you to be a human. Now it's just to be a mammal and act like just a normal warm-blooded creature.
4 p.m. weekdays.
Buy a mirror, look at it to evaluate yourself and do better.
Rowies Sport Show on 5AA.
Have you been to Wohlers lately? I'm Rachel Wohlers and I've always had a passion for homewares and giftware. I'd love to invite you to visit us and experience our range of fragrances, homewares, handbags, jewellery or that special gift. At Wohlers, we have the names you love, like Glasshouse, Campanero and Maxwell Williams. But I also enjoy discovering local Australian designers and artists. Experience Wohlers for yourself at Mount Barker, Richmond and Tanunda.
Are you looking to build your forever home? Would you like to age in place? Or perhaps you or a loved one is living with a disability? Design for Life is an initiative by custom home builder Normus Homes, giving you the opportunity to design and build a home to suit your specific needs without compromising on style. Normus integrates innovative changes today for enhanced livability tomorrow. To learn more about Design for Life, visit normushomes.com.au.
It isn't waste until you waste it. That's the catch cry from an amazing company called Eco Waste Solutions. Eco Waste Solutions is a hard waste recycling facility, not a dump, located at Williston. They'll take everything except hazardous waste and food scraps. They'll take your waste bricks, your mattresses, tyres, soil, timber, steel, concrete and more. Plus, if you pre-sort your load, you'll receive a 50% discount on disposal fees. Google Eco Waste Solutions Williston for more.
When you want a retractable door screen, you want uninterrupted views and natural ventilation combined with protection from insects. You want Phantom Screens. Our custom-made retractable door screens can be colour-matched to your existing decor and span up to 7 metres wide. And they disappear out of sight when not in use. A screen that's there 1 minute, gone the next. From the hills to the coast and everywhere in between, let the fresh air in with Phantom Screens. Get inspired online at phantomscreens.com.au.
Do you experience discomfort from varicose veins? If so, you may be suffering from venous reflux disease. Symptoms can include varicose veins, leg or ankle swelling, heavy and fatigued legs, as well as pain, aching or cramping. Without treatment, those with the disease may experience progressive symptoms that can significantly impact their quality of life. If you or a loved one are experiencing these symptoms, contact your GP to see if the cyanoacrylate procedure could be right for you, because relief is just the beginning. A message from Medtronic Australasia.
As a small to medium business owner, you need a vehicle fleet that is fit for purpose. The new Nissan Navara is the ultimate workhorse, built tough to handle the harshest conditions. Packed with the latest intelligent safety and driving assistance tech, the new Nissan Navara is the ideal addition to your fleet. Let your local Nissan fleet dealer tailor a vehicle solution that's right for you and your business needs. Visit your local Nissan dealer or search Nissan Fleet today.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Need a shed strong enough to resist the harsh Australian climate? Visit Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
26 after 8, coming up after 8:30. Should you represent yourself in court? Certainly there's a magistrate advising against it in one high-profile case at the moment. Someone who just doesn't recognise the law about mask wearing, wants to take it to the courts. couldn't find a lawyer who was willing to make the argument, so they're making it themselves. We'll talk to Alex Ward about that, our resident legal after 8:30. Also, Peter Malinauskas will be on the program talking about empowering school principals to almost operate like CEOs at the school. They're going to be able to hire, fire, have a bit more say in staffing and what goes on. It's an interesting policy. It's been discussed before. Bit of a shift on the Labor side on this front, so we'll talk about that with Peter Malinauskas after 8:30. Right now, it is time for Fuel Watch. Do you have an existing BMW service-inclusive package where you can book your next service at Glenelg BMW? There's a few more of the petrols up around that nasty $1.85 mark this morning. Blackwood and Belair. This is now like, remember those early scary maps of the spread of COVID around the globe?
Exponential growth, petrol prices wise.
Exactly. We're seeing it now with the $1.85. So there's a hot spot in Blackwood and Belair of a $1.85 petrol. And one opposite the Maid in Stepney as well. Otherwise, you can still fill up in the $1.40s, like $1.46 on the corner of Cross Road and Goodwood Road, $1.47 on Greenhill Road in Glenside, and $1.42 at the Coles Express on Montague Road in Paravista. 27 minutes after 8.
It's incredible. 95% of tickets in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery have been sold. You could live mortgage-free by the beach this summer in a fully furnished Scott Salisbury home on the Esplanade at South Brighton with $500,000 cash. If there's a home you want to win, it's this one. Don't miss out. Join the fight and get your tickets today. homelottery.com.au.
Licence M14053.
South Australia's health system is at breaking point. If it was a patient, it would be in need of urgent and intensive care. Patients stuck in emergency departments waiting for beds is just one of the many symptoms of the squeeze on our health system. Other patients are waiting to get out of hospital and into aged or disability care. With the community now at risk, it's time for urgent action. Help stop the squeeze. Go to actionforhealth.com.au. Written and authorised by Edabars ANMF SA Branch, Riverton, SA.
The landmark location of 88 O'Connell is coming to life. It's an opportunity to tell an entirely new and unique story, architecturally designed by Woods Bagot and developed by the good people at Commercial in General. 88 O'Connell, it's seriously one of the most remarkable developments to come onto the market in a very long time.
This looks really cool, this development. 88 O'Connell, cool. It encapsulates connected living. So you've got swimming pools, you've got the gym, you've got indoor and outdoor dining, a fresh food marketplace, retail shopping. You never have to leave home. You can choose from 2, 3 and 4 bedroom apartments, and the choice of views is all-encompassing as well. Ocean, hills and the city.
What's more, you're living smack bang in the middle of beautiful North Adelaide with that wonderful village atmosphere. The 88 O'Connell Display Suite, now open, features a fully furnished 2-bedroom apartment. I saw it a couple of weeks ago. It's stunning. Take the time to wander through. You can really appreciate this incredible development, the impressive design and the fabulous lifestyle. 88 O'Connell, North Adelaide, more than an address.
I used to think a good day on the golf course was coming home with more than one golf ball. But my game has really stepped up thanks to Shane from Drummond Golf.
Hi Tom, how's the handicap going?
Well, I've been personally my-matched by you and I'm hitting longer, straighter and higher than I ever have before. You and your team have really got my game sorted.
We want people to love golf as much as we do. Just like we did for you, Tom, we put you through the My Match process to pick the right clubs for you. We also do lessons at the driving range and kit them out in the best gear, all aimed to reduce their handicap.
Well, it has worked a treat for me. I cannot recommend it enough. Go and see the team at Drummond Golf. Thank you again, Shane. Enfield, Darlington, Myland, Tetra Gully and the West Beach driving range.
South Australians have done a great job keeping our state safe from COVID-19. Now it's time to get vaccinated because here are the facts. COVID-19 vaccines have been tested, reviewed and approved in exactly the same way as all other vaccines. They're close to 90% effective in reducing symptoms and preventing hospitalisation and death. Vaccines do not have late onset side effects and COVID vaccines are no different. So what are you waiting for? Get the facts and book your appointment at covidvaccine.sa.gov.au.
A message from the Government of South Australia.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny, 22 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience, with 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
There's been a home invasion at Hackney. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says an Oxford Street resident discovered a person inside his property just before 11 last night.
So the male suspect demanded the elderly occupant's wallet before punching him to the face and fled the scene with his wallet and a laptop. The 77-year-old resident sustained minor injuries and he was taken to the Royal Adelaide for treatment.
The hunt for the suspect continues. He's described as being in his mid-40s with a large build, 188 centimetres tall and wearing dark clothing. Victoria has hit the 70% double-dose COVID vaccination target as Melbourne's 6th lockdown comes to an end tonight. Prime Minister Scott Morrison says it's a major step forward.
Victoria's had the hardest and the longest road when it comes to COVID-19. They've had to go through so much, and it was great to see those wonderful scenes of people being reunited yesterday, and we'll see that more in the future. They're opening safely so they can stay safely open.
A stoush within the Coalition on Climate Change is damaging Australia's international credibility, according to Labor. The Nationals are negotiating the details of the Prime Minister's plan to reach an emissions reductions target of net zero by 2050. Scott Morrison says a deal will be made before he travels to next month's climate summit in Glasgow, but leader Anthony Albanese says it's too little, too late.
The pantomime continues. The pantomime whereby we have this pretense that there's some doubt over whether Scott Morrison will announce net zero by 2050, but no one can take him seriously on climate.
The search for a missing 4-year-old WA girl is entering its 6th day. Cleo Smith vanished from a campsite on Saturday. Extra resources are being brought in, with Defence Force troops joining the search on the ground, while police investigate registered sex offenders in the area. The AusAsia Festival kicks off tonight. The 18-day program features more than 50 events, including the popular Moon Lantern Trail and Lucky Dumpling Market. Artistic director Annette Chunwar says they're looking forward to welcoming back crowds.
Everyone's busting to get out and enjoy themselves, and especially families to come to the whole Adelaide Festival Centre precinct. It's looking beautiful. Everything is set up and it's just going to sparkle tonight.
The Queen has cancelled a planned trip to Northern Ireland on medical advice. Nine's UK correspondent Carrie-Anne Greenbank reports.
The Queen has had to cancel a 2-day trip to Northern Ireland after advice from doctors that she should rest for the next few days. The 95-year-old monarch has been keeping a tireless schedule of events recently, including hosting Bill Gates at Windsor Castle yesterday. Buckingham Palace says she has reluctantly accepted the medical advice to rest and is disappointed she won't be able to visit Northern Ireland.
And Olivia Newton-John has announced another auction of personal memorabilia and items to raise money for cancer research. The first auction was held in 2020 and included her leather jacket from Greece. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
3 words make a big difference to our local dairy farmers. Flurio Milk Company. In your supermarket now.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Cricket first. India has flexed its muscle ahead of the T20 World Cup, hammering Australia by 8 wickets in their final warm-up match. Steve Smith top scored for the Aussies with 57, but the side could only manage 5 for 152 from their 20 overs in Dubai. Smith says India deserves to be favourites to lift the trophy.
They're a terrific side. They've got all bases covered and some serious match winners in there. So they've obviously been playing all in these conditions for the last couple of months with IPL, so they'll be used to that.
In the AFL, Melbourne is pushing for a Friday night grand final rematch against the Western Bulldogs at the MCG for round 1 next season. Carlton and Richmond are already locked in for the season opener on the Thursday night, also at the MCG. In the European Champions League this morning, Manchester United's on top of its group after a remarkable come-from-behind 3-2 win against Atalanta. Chelsea is up to second in its group after smashing Malmo 4-0. Meantime, in the Europa League, Leicester has won a thriller coming from 2-0 down to beat Spartak Moscow 4-3. Patson Daka, the hero, with all 4 goals.
Oh, he's got it through. Daka's in again. He scored again. Oh, unbelievable. Patson Daka with 4 goals.
Unbelievable. Mixed results at the Kremlin Cup in Moscow for the Aussie men. John Millman progressing to the quarterfinals. That was after a hard-fought 3-set win, but James Duckworth lost in 3 sets to number 3 seed Karen Khachanov. On the women's side, fellow Aussie Isla Tomljanovic pushed number 1 seed Arena Sabalenka all the way, but eventually went down also in 3 sets. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Glenelg BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Book a test drive today.
Got a few broken down trucks around the place this morning to keep your eye out for. One at Erbray, Glen Osmond Road near Portrush Road at the bottom of the freeway, blocking the left-hand turn onto Crossroad. Another one at Broadview, Hampstead Road near Regency Road, and another at Fullerton. It's on Glen Osmond Road near Fisher Street in the left-hand lane affecting Citybound. Look out for an oil spill, Kensington, Portrush Road near Kensington Road. And we've got cameras this morning, Grand Scully Road, Chandler's Hill, and Halsey Road at Elizabeth East. From visionary filmmaker Ridley Scott comes the gripping true story of betrayal and vengeance, starring Matt Damon, Adam Driver and Jodie Comer. The Last Duel, only in cinemas now. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
The all-new Audi Q5 Sportback has arrived. Test drive it today at Audi Solitaire in Hawthorn.
22 today and mostly sunny. A possible shower tomorrow 21, then Saturday 19. Right now it's 16 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Need a shed strong enough to resist the harsh Australian climate? Visit Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes to 9. I had a chuckle at this story in the Tizer this morning. You recall the start of this story, a woman who refused to wear a mask in a supermarket, so she plans to challenge a provision of the Emergency Management Act in court. So Ruby Mary Noyce, she's 56 years old. She went to the Mount Barker Magistrates Court and she said to them she doesn't believe in the law with regard to mask wearing.
Fair to say Grant Stevens isn't quaking in his boots about this one.
I don't think it's going to bring him down. She says she appeared without a lawyer and said she intends to represent herself. And
that's always a good sign.
Well, part of the problem, she says, I don't believe in the law. I had trouble getting a lawyer to help me. Well, that's probably because, I'm guessing, I don't want to preempt Alex Ward here, there's probably little capacity in legal fact for her to actually challenge on the basis that she just simply doesn't believe in it. I love the magistrate quoted in the paper, sort of saying, are you seeking to challenge the act at all, or why are you defending the matter? She says there's many people who don't believe in laws, but that's not a defence to the charge. You can't say because I don't believe in the law, I'm therefore not guilty, because you'd just be wasting everyone's time, if that's what you're trying to say, as that's not a defence.
So I only passed 2 law subjects, but even I know that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Made some good points about, you can't just say I don't believe in speeding fines.
Yeah.
But, you have the right to defend yourself, I guess. Alex Ward's our legal. Are you surprised, Alex, that she couldn't find anyone to take up the case?
Look, everyone's a bit busy, and access to justice is important. But I think the magistrate's comments seem to think that, look, it's a waste of time. And look, there's a number of cases that I remember from his study where people have actually challenged laws successfully and they set up the Military Court of Australia and it got booted out because they found the law wasn't valid. Look, I don't believe in the income tax laws.
Yeah.
But yet I slavishly follow them. And if we go back to the Emergency Management Act, and we were only discussing this, I think, last week about the people falsifying documents, but if you refuse or fail to comply with a requirement or direction, just remind ourselves of the penalties. If you're a person, the maximum penalty is $20,000 or imprisonment for 2 years. All I need to do is read that, and I believe in the Emergency Management Act. Because if I don't believe in it, and I've got a light possibility of going to jail for 2 years, then that will convince me.
In your experience, Alex, I mean, the old legal joke is, any lawyer representing themselves has a fool for a client. Have you ever seen a private individual represent themselves in an actual court and win?
Oh, yes. And sadly, against me in a couple of
You don't have to admit everything on air, mate.
No, well, it's all a matter of public record, but it doesn't mean that you lose. It just means it's much harder for the judge. So the judge has to... So I'm talking about a long case. I'm not talking about, a 10-minute one down magistrate's court for a drink driving plea, where I think a lot of people can actually look after themselves because it's all fairly automatic. I'm talking about a personal injury case that might take 5 to 7 days. And the problem that the judges have is is not to actually become the unrepresented person's lawyer.
Yeah, right.
So there's this bully Ward ripping into him. Now, steady on, mate. Oh, wait on, you're the judge.
Yeah.
So you can't make sure the thing's not fair, but you can't actually act for them. So the judges find it quite difficult. But in a lot of jurisdictions, you've got the small claims jurisdiction where lawyers are actually forbidden. So you can say, and I think the limit's about $12,000. So if you've got a dispute of up to $12,000, that you don't have lawyers there at all. Often in family court, people are unrepresented. Or down in the AAT, if people have trouble with their social security, they get cut off their Centrelink. Well, they go and they represent themselves down in that tribunal. But the lawyer's toast is for people who write their own wills. Cheers. That comes back. I'm going to save money on the bloody lawyer. Yes, we are, mate, now. When your poor old family's having to trudge through the Supreme Court to understand what you actually meant.
About who gets the car.
Costs a fortune.
I don't know if it was real or imagined, but I heard the chink of crystal then when you said.
Yeah, that sounded like a Rydell glass in the background, Alex.
I'm having a sherry for breakfast.
So, Alex,
Manzanilla to start the day.
It's interesting the point you make about judges don't want to. They find it difficult. Is there anything that actually compels them beyond human nature to actually make it more accessible for people to represent themselves?
Yeah, well, that's what they do, and it's just a matter of doing that to make sure the procedure's fair, as you would even if you've got two parties. One might be treating the other unfairly, but more so with the people who they're not in their natural place, and it's stressful anyway, but it's stressful and I'm not used to this and everything looks hugely formal. But no, I've had cases and they've gone through, and the facts eventually win the case, and if the person get their story across, that doesn't mean automatically they lose. But what the magistrate's looking at here is that if people are sensible, it should be okay. And I'm not saying this person's not sensible, but the position taken, as David supports, seems a bit extreme. That why would we think this whole law's invalid? Not to say it's not, but it hasn't fallen apart yet. So the judge thinks if you go and talk to someone, they can explain it to you. Then you come back and say, yes, all right, I don't agree with the law, like the tax law, but I'm bound by it, so I'll plead guilty. If you plead guilty, you get a better go than if you plead not guilty, have a trial and found guilty because you wasted the time and that sort of thing, if it's an obvious reason. So a lawyer could actually, in the calmness of the office, explain that. And there's plenty of places, gents, where people can get free legal advice. You can call the Legal Services Commission or the Law Society, or there's Justice Net. There's a service that helps people doing small claims cases. They steer them in the right direction. So, and most lawyers that I know will give free advice all the time to people who might ring up. So it might be daunting to think that if I go and see a lawyer, I'll have to sell my house or a kidney. But sometimes you've got to make that consideration. The more serious the matter, you really should be looking at someone to help you.
Well,
and that sounds like bad for lawyers, doesn't it?
We've got to keep you flush with sherry somehow, Alex. Excellent analysis, as always, mate. Thank you. Alex Ward, 5AA's resident legal eagle.
16 minutes to 9. Peter Malinowski's coming up in just a moment. Let's check traffic. Glenelg BMW, they're now open on Brighton Road. Book a test drive today.
A few broken down trucks causing headaches this morning. One at FIVEaa, Glen Osmond Road near Portrush Road at the bottom of the freeway, blocking the left-hand turn onto Cross Road. And another one at Broadview, that's on Hampstead Road near Regency Road. Got an oil spill, Kensington, Portrush Road near Kensington Road, left-hand lane closed for southbound, and Northfield expect delays Green Junction Road at Hampstead Road. Got cameras, Main North Road, Smithfield and Main Road at Wollonga. Your dream home has more choice and more value with Rivergum Homes, with premium kitchen and bathroom upgrades at no extra cost. Choose from over 180 designs with Rivergum Homes. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
When it comes to big cleaning projects, you can rely on the team at Exis. From kitchen exhaust and cool room cleaning, HVAC and ventilation systems, medical and COVID cleaning, pressure cleaning, gutter cleaning, and more. You'll find Exis at work in our hospitals, supermarkets, restaurants, pubs, takeaway venues, councils, universities, food manufacturing, defence, and sporting venues. If your business requires a standard of excellence in all things cleaning and hygiene, get in touch with Exis. EXIIS. Exis.com.au.
When people walk through the doors at Pals, the first thing they say is wow.
Not only because of the size and the selection, but also because of the team. Sam and Jamie have tasted every drop. They and their team can recommend a whiskey that's just as good as that hard-to-find Japanese one, if they don't have it, that is. Or a beautiful red that's reminiscent of that outstanding cellar door you once travelled so far to visit. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
West is the award-winning master plan community at West Lakes, and this morning they've been hosting the 2021 Variety Motor Run, which left on its 4-day jaunt around our state around half an hour ago, and they're hoping to raise $250,000, $250,000 for kids in need.
And how good is this? This morning, the team at Commercial General, supported by Managing Director Jamie McClurg, presented a 21-seat Sunshine coach to the Hendon Primary School, valued at $65,000.
We just heard before from the excellent principal of wonderful Hendon Primary, and this Sunshine Coach, it's going to transport children living with disabilities to a range of activities, including their weekly water safety program.
West is being developed by Commercial and General, who have been long-time supporters of the amazing work Variety do. So hats off to Jamie McClurg and, look, everyone at Commercial and General for their incredible support of Variety and the Variety Moto Run.
I don't have a favourite teacher because I've loved them all. They've taught me new things and I've always had fun in their class.
I've enjoyed learning about sports because I'm always focused.
My school is all these things and more. It's what makes it one of South Australia's leading primary schools. Hi, I'm Seraphina, school captain at St Andrews. Book your place on one of our school tours on Thursday 28th of October at 6 p.m. or Saturday 30th October at 10 a.m. Just Google St Andrews School.
Get more at Mawson Lakes Volkswagen with great deals on demos right across the range, all ready to drive away. And if you're impressed with our selection of cars, you'll love our service department with next day servicing, complimentary loan cars and breakfast or lunch on us. Why? Because when you're Adelaide's newest Volkswagen dealer, you want to give more. Visit mawsonlakesvw.com.au to see the range online. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Need more living space or storage? Visit olympicindustries.com.au. Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
12 to 9. Peter Malinauskas is otherwise engaged. So Blair Boyer, the Shadow Education Minister, joins us to talk about, as David remarked earlier today, a pre-election policy for South Australia that actually has nothing to do with COVID. It was just a, it was kind of sort of confronting.
Something.
Realise that governments do other stuff too. This one is oddly familiar. School principals would be empowered to fire underperforming teachers. I think it's a good idea. Blair Boyer is on the line now. Blair Boyer, good morning to you. I guess the only question is, why did it take you guys so long to come to the party on this idea? It was a Liberal policy going back a number of years.
Yeah, well, that's true that ideas like this have been kicking around for quite a while now, and I guess we've got a new leader to begin with, Peter Malinauskas. I'm new in the position of Shadow Minister for Education. We have spent that time listening to principals and listening to parents. That's the honest truth here. We've done the hard yards and gone out and met and asked them what they would want an alternative government, a Malinauskas Labor government, to do. And the thing that comes up repeatedly is to take action around making it easier for principals to remove underperforming teachers from the classroom, and also to have more control over keeping the high-quality, talented teachers that they have there, who are most likely often on a contract and are prone to being moved around. And that's quite simply what we are doing with this announcement today.
In the past, though, Blair, Labor's dismissed this policy as sort of headline grabbing and said that it's a sort of baseless besmirching of the good name of teachers, or a bit of, stereotyping of people working in the public system. Is it the scourge that Labor now thinks, or now seems to think it is, or rather is this a positioning attempt by a party on the eve of the election to make yourself look more mainstream and conservative?
Well, listen, I accept it is a change of position from us. I think Peter and I both accept that. Yes, we aren't far away from a state election, that's true, but we have been working on this policy for the best part of 3 years. For me and my thinking on this, it started when I was a candidate before I was elected, and I went out and did what candidates do and went and spoke to local school principals and sat down and said, okay, what are the kind of things you're looking for a state government to do for you? And almost without exception, this issue was raised by those principals.
What would you say though to listeners like Trish in Highgate, who is a teacher, and she's texted us saying, Dave and Will is a long-time teacher. I've worked with a few dud teachers, but I've worked with dud parents, dud administrators. Can you ask Labor, are they going to sack them too? Or shock horror, rather than bagging teachers, perhaps address how better to support the teaching profession?
Well, there's a couple of things I would say to that. The first one is that there are some other parts of this announcement today as well which really do go around supporting teachers. And these are also big issues and have been big issues in the education sector for years and years. That is increasing permanency, because contract staff do it tough. It often makes it harder for them to, set up a home and make plans for the future because they are on contracts from year to year. And we are also looking at extending the regional allowance for country teachers beyond 5 years so it is permanent. Now, both these things are going to stop churn in the system. Both these things are going to stop the amount of movement of teachers back and forth, which often results in some of those, fantastic, often younger kind of teachers that principals want to hang on to, being moved on to make room for one of the teachers who are using their right of return or placement right to come back to a metropolitan area. So we are taking action on those things as well as the powers around hiring and firing.
Blair Boyer, the Shadow Education Minister, thanks for joining us this morning on 5AA.
7 minutes to 9. We've got a road update for you. There's an incident that we've been tracking over the course of the morning. A truck breakdown, Hampstead Road, Regency Road at Broadview. We've put up a picture of it on our Twitter account actually a little bit earlier, and you can't imagine a truck breaking down in a worse spot in the middle of an intersection, blocking off an entire road. The update from the South Australian Infrastructure and Transport Department is that is all now clear. So some good news on at least one of the truck-related incidents this morning.
Good text here from Jared on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. Jared in West Beach, he says, I'm off to get my first jab today, boys. I thought it was about time. We must do the right thing by others and ourselves. Thanks for the positive info you've shared over the last few months. It helped me get booked in. Good on you, Jared. Thanks for that, mate.
Education Minister John Gardner has called into the program. Minister, good morning.
G'day, how you doing?
Yeah, what do you make of this?
Look, we really welcome the Labor Party's shift in heart. We've always supported the principle that we should put the interests of children first ahead of union control in education. That's why in the industrial negotiations for the EB, we tried to increase flexibility for appointments for principals. And in the legislation in the Parliament, we tried to do similar things. But the Labor Party at every turn, including under Peter Malinowskis' leadership, has backed the union. They marched in the streets with the red flags. So we welcome their change of heart. Would have been really useful a couple of years ago in the Parliament or during the EB negotiations, but better late than never.
Are you surprised they seem to be attacking you from the right, Minister?
Well, I think that they've got to cover their shame with a fig leaf of something. The fact is that look, the process did take 10 months when they were in government. We've reduced the process for removing underperforming teachers dramatically to it's much closer to a term now from when a principal brings an issue to the department and we support them to deal with that underperformance. Worth saying, absolute overwhelming majority of our teachers do a great job. They've done an amazing job during the pandemic. Would have loved Labor's policy shift in the Parliament a couple of years ago, on the steps of my office a couple of years ago when they were out with the AEU. Doing it on the eve of World Teachers' Day sends a bit of a mixed message to our teachers who are very grateful for everything they've done during the pandemic. But look, I welcome the fact that they now have decided that the child should be the focus of everything we do.
Okay, thank you, Minister John Gardner. It's coming to 5 minutes to 9. We might just take a quick break and we'll come back with Behind Closed Doors.
The new Nissan Navara is the ultimate work vehicle, built tough with advanced tech to get the job done. Speak to your local Nissan fleet experts today about tailoring a vehicle solution for your business needs.
G'day, it's Rowie with Eddie May from NRG Solar. Now, Eddie, why is now the best time to buy solar?
Thanks, Rowie. Government rebates will fall at the end of December. So if you act now, we can install your system in 2021 and you can save an additional $500 to $800 on a typical system. which is a considerable saving. The person who waits another year to decide to get solar will lose thousands of dollars.
Hey, thanks, Eddie. So go solar now and save. For more info, simply visit nrgsolar.com.au.
It's incredible. 95% of tickets in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery have been sold. You could live mortgage-free by the beach this summer in a fully furnished Scott Salisbury home on the Esplanade at South Brighton with $500,000 cash. If there's a home you want to win, it's this one. Don't miss out. Join the fight and get your tickets today. homelottery.com.au. Licence M14053.
There's all sorts of artists. Music artists, fine artists, food artists, and concrete artists. Through years of dedication and expertise, Adelaide Exposed Concrete have turned driveways, pathways, entertaining areas and shed floors into an art form, something to be admired. Committed to the highest standards of service, design and workmanship, get in touch with Adelaide Exposed Concrete. Best on ground all year round. AdelaideExposedConcrete.com.au.
Need a shed strong enough to resist the harsh Australian climate? Visit Olympic Industries, built to last. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
3 to 9, let's go behind closed doors thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed
13.95, Adelaide's 5AA. This is Andrew Reimer.
And welcome back to the interactive program. Andrew Reimer with you, and the open line talkback number is 82238888. So you can give me a call and let's get right into it and talk to Peter. Hello, Peter.
Oh, g'day, Andrew.
How are you, Peter?
Oh, not too good, mate. Very depressed, actually, at what's going on in this country.
Why, what's going on?
Oh, the police are just running rampant, mate. You should see what I see on social media, mate.
What do you see?
Oh, mate, this is just... This country is like Nazi Germany in 1945, mate.
Well, that's not too bad, because Nazi Germany was pretty much finished in 1945 because we'd won the war.
Well, it's coming back, mate. It's coming back.
I think if you'd lived in Nazi Germany, Peter, you wouldn't think that.
I can hear it in your voice too, mate. You're shaking too. You're shaking.
I'm shaking because I've just been in hospital in intensive care.
Yeah, well, what's going on with all this stuff about getting the jab, eh? Go and get the jab. We gotta go and get the jab. Get the jab.
Well, it's just part and parcel of the world we're living in at the moment,
No,
Peter.
that's not part and parcel. Get a backbone, mate. Get a backbone.
Don't tell me to get a backbone. Why don't you get a brain?
I've got a brain, mate.
Well, you're not using it.
You're gagged, mate. You're gagged. You're part of the media. You're gagged.
I'm not gagged. I've spoken out many times about the vaccine and about masks
I'm
and...
more scared of the vaccination than I am of coronavirus, mate.
Well, that's silly.
I don't get vaccinated for anything, mate. I trust my immune system.
Well, I'm staying well away from you then.
Oh, yeah.
Although I'm double vaxxed now, so I should be okay.
They're telling us to wear masks,
Well, they're trying to protect us, Peter.
But, Andrew, there's no scientific evidence to prove that masks work.
Well, there's no scientific evidence to show that your car door stops you from falling out of the car, but we know it works.
My grandfather fought in the mud and the blood in the First World War so we could have our freedom.
Yes, and he would be very ashamed of you at the moment.
I thought you were all about not getting the vax.
No, I am not an anti-vaxxer.
Well, get a backbone, mate.
Although after what I went through, I could probably be excused for being one.
Leon Bonner is coming up after 9 o'clock. We're just about out of time on this Thursday morning, and we'll be back for Friday from 6 o'clock tomorrow. We'll see you then.
See you then.